Welcome to another episode. It's episode 23 of the ADV podcast. A very important episode today. We're talking about discrimination against foreigners in China. And we're also going to dedicate a very large segment to the illegal gangs that are stripping the shelves of masks and things like that. Or at least they did. So we'll get into that. So
I want to preface this episode because I know we're going to get tons of questions later. We forgot to put it in the actual material. But everyone has been sharing with us that Shenzhen, which is the city you lived in,
yes,
has just banned cat and dog meat. Okay,
sure.
The pesky little ice cream truck.
Huh? Isn't there supposed to be a quarantine?
Yeah,
what are they doing?
What are you doing, you psychopath?
Anyway,
long story short, I've been getting this over and over again sent to me, and I'm kind of confused because why is this making world news? It's on like top news page on world news and stuff. Why is it making news that Shenzhen banned dog and cat meat? Because they already did that.
Yeah, they're supposed to have... Well, I was always told in Shenzhen, because I got there in the February of 2006, right? And I would often ask people about the whole dog meat thing, because you hear about it. You hear Chinese people eat dogs. And I was always told by my Chinese peers and colleagues that, yes, in the rest of China, people eat dogs, but in Shenzhen, it's been banned, because Shenzhen is a Wenming Chengshi, which means it's a civilized city. And it has a couple of awards for being the most civilized city in China. You know, it's the thing that happens every year.
Every city
has that. Yeah, it's true. Anyway, the thing is, I would still see dog meat. The reason I bring it up is I would see dog meat hanging up in the little local neighborhoods and stuff for sale. And they kept telling me it was banned, but it obviously never was, because recently they keep saying, oh, they banned it again.
The thing is, it was banned.
Yeah.
But it did anything about it.
No, sure.
The reason I wanted to bring this up, I have the Chinese article from the Shenzhen government. I don't know why Western media fails to even read the most basic of documents.
Right.
That stipulates, let me read it to you. I'll translate it for you. These are rules defining consumption of animals. The new legislation defined animals that can be eaten. Cats and dogs are not in them. So are various animals like bats. Number 2, it also bans slaughtering animals publicly and in your own house. Basically, no live animals can be sold for food purposes. If you want to eat meat, they have to come from legitimate butchers that can be regulated by the government. That is the law. You can eat dog meat. You can sell dog meat.
But it has to be legitimate.
It has to be legitimate, and you can't butcher it in public, and you also can't sell the live animal for consumption.
Right.
It is not a ban on dog and cat meat, guys. Sloppy journalism.
Maybe what we can do is, can you
paste
this link to the Shenzhen government article into the comment section right now?
Sure.
And then people can look it up themselves. Because, we don't want to get distracted with that, but we've been hit with a lot of things. So anyway, let's move on to our first segment, which is, of course, What's New, where we talk about what's new in China and, well, things related to China.
Correct.
We are going to talk about something that everybody knows, hopefully by now. Everybody may have seen this video. So we're going to play a video for you guys very quickly here. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of bit by bit comment on what's being said. So I'm going to get us out of the video. And are you ready? Let us begin this video.
3M 的还有40个装的了，太开心了！拖着房车也不忘找口罩，好好摆还能多装点儿，耶，超开心，超开心！本来我们去就是一般找口罩都去那个卖油漆的那个地方找，然后我们去了另外一个地方找，然后就找到了。太开心了！还有呢，再去搬一下。在城市外面的人就是比较 nice。Thank you so much. You're so kind. 他们还不知道限购，赶紧买单走人。出汗了，吓的。满满的一车，这回都扫光了，这回真没了。哎，这能看着我的汗，老热了，紧张兮兮的，像做贼似的感觉。哎，这边的人还不知道，现在是我在佛罗里达的中部开了1个半小时，然后。
Okay, this is what I wanted to point out here, everybody, is the fact that she says there are less Chinese here. Now, first of all, I think everybody knows by now, if they've been following my Instagram anyway, I am very critical of these illegal parallel traders. They're called Daigo. And basically what they do is illegal. So before anyone starts saying, oh, it's capitalism, let people buy whatever they want. They buy products that they can make a profit off of in China. Usually the same products that are available in China. You can buy masks in China, right?
Yeah.
But they're cheaper to buy in the US because China has a higher sales tax and et cetera, et cetera. So they buy them in bulk. They illegally export them. They don't pay the export taxes. And then they get them illegally imported into China because they send it in, they've got their ways. I've actually got video of these guys throwing boxes over the border. Anyway,
That's like the most basic ways. A lot of people, especially someone that's professional like this, I can tell she's got a lot of experience.
Yes.
We looked up her track record.
Yeah.
They have actual government connections with customs.
Yeah, so basically then the masks get brought into China and they don't pay import duties on that either. So they're illegally dodging tax on the American side or Australian side because, they're all over the world. And then they're illegally dodging taxes on the Chinese side through their connections and kickbacks or just by being very clever on how they bring it over the border. Sometimes they do get caught out and have to pay, but the majority of the time they don't. So they're illegal. And what they do is when they see an opportunity to make money on a certain product, for instance, with the baby formula, it was a big thing. When the Chinese dairy made that tainted baby formula they killed all those little infants, and it was a terrible tragedy. And then everybody realized that Chinese baby formula is not a good idea to buy. Correct. And it still hasn't recovered.
No.
In China, mothers still do not
the stigma is there forever.
Yeah, they don't trust local dairies. So what you get is external milk powder, imported milk powder. That is literally the most sought after stuff. He's got to go take care of something. Yeah. So it's the most sought after stuff is the imported milk powder. So when that happened, there was an explosion of Daigo. This pretty much started the whole Daigo revolution, is they realized that they could send people to go to Australia and other places around the world on tourist visas. And they, for instance, in the States, you can get a long-term tourist visa. You can come and stay in the States for 6 months at a time on a tourist visa. So what they would do is they would just hang around on their tourist visa.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, no worries. Go from shop to shop, buy up as much of that baby formula as possible, and then ship it off back to China. And, it caused such a problem with baby formula in places like Australia that they have to now limit every purchaser to only 2 tins. Because what was happening is the local mothers who needed baby formula in Australia could not get any for their own infants because it was all being sent to China. So this started the whole Daigo revolution. And now with the mask thing, especially because this whole thing hit China, January is when it started to get bad. January and February. During January and February, all right. During January and February, the Daigo in America were going around and getting all of the medical supplies that they could. So in other words, they were buying up all the masks, all the antibacterial wipes, hand sanitizer, things like that, while the rest of the world was still kind of oblivious to what was going on. So I don't know if you remember what was going on in January, but I know for a fact that we were already reporting on the situation in China and how serious it was. But the majority of the world in January and February was still thinking that it was a problem far away and that it wasn't something that affected them, and that it was just the flu, or not as bad as the flu, and that kind of nonsense. And so you weren't thinking about getting medical supplies. But the Chinese Daigo that were around the entire world, they knew that they could make a profit off of this situation because they knew right now in China, there's a massive demand for these masks. And so what they did is, and there's now a lot of evidence that's coming forth, is they went around in all the Western countries, places like Australia, got massively hard hit by this, the US, and they bought up every last box of 3M N95 masks and whatever other kind of medical supplies they could, and then sent them back to China and sold them at a profit. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about this more in depth, so we're not going to get too much into it. But the fact of the matter is that this woman, her job is Daigo. And it's not just medical supplies. They mainly make their bread and butter money through things like luxury goods.
Cosmetics.
Yeah, LV bags, cosmetics, things like that. Because there's a high demand and there's so much tax on it in China.
Much more expensive.
Yeah,
in
so,
China.
if you want to get a luxury item, you go to one of these places. They've got their own websites. They've got their own apps, things like Xiaohongshu, which is an app you install on your iPhone or whatever. And what they do, the reason why she's filmed this, is that's how they tell their customers what they have. They'll be like, look at this bag that I just bought. I've got 3 of these in stock, Leave
They're
a
not
comment.
selling it on Xiaohongshu. Xiaohongshu means Little Red Book, and
Yeah.
actually that's an app where they'll be able to post their links to their shops.
Exactly.
And that's where they brag. So when
Yeah.
we were perusing this, there are people on there, look at how much of this I got. Like,
Yeah.
lol, Americans didn't get any of this.
Yeah, exactly. Now, that's why she's filming this. It's because she's showing her customers what she has so that they can buy from her.
Correct.
Okay, so she went on and bragged about this, but I want us to get back to what she's saying right now. This is very important. There are less Chinese here. Let's just advance it a little bit.
可能华人比较少，他们还不知道口罩的事儿呢。有一次，
Okay, so there are less Chinese here. They still don't know about the masks in this area. There have been a lot of people who've come out of the woodwork trying to say, oh, but everybody does this price gouging. People from all different countries do it, but that's absolute nonsense. This is a Chinese thing. Now, okay, of course you get people that do buy things and sell them at a profit or do things like that. There was that guy here in Kentucky or wherever it was, Tennessee. He got nailed to the cross when people found out he was hoarding hand sanitizer. His Amazon account got shut down. His PayPal account got shut down. He was forced to donate the majority of it that he'd hoarded. People don't accept that kind of behavior in Western society. This crap about the toilet papers, you see people with all everywhere on the internet, people with shopping trolleys full of toilet paper. People are saying, like, screw you, you piece of shit. They're really, really fighting back against this because it's selfish behavior, right? And if you take all the toilet paper, then there's none left for anyone else. People don't accept that in the Western world. Also, the Western world doesn't have such a slick, sophisticated system. This Daigo thing, think about it. First of all, you've got a massive diaspora of Chinese around the world. So you've already got the network of people locally in different countries everywhere, like massive. Name me one country that doesn't have a huge Chinese population, So you've got that already. So students, visitors, even people who are now residents there, it's very easy for them to make a little bit of money on the side by selling things back to China. So you've got the people there ready to go buy this stuff, right? Then you've got apps and massive e-commerce websites like Taobao, which if you go onto Taobao and you search for N95 masks, you will get all the Daigos selling it there. And they'll even say very boldly, this comes from America. This was bought in America. This is Jinkoda. Because when you're buying stuff in China, buying imported goods is always better than buying local goods. It has a premium. If it says Jinkoda, it means it's imported and it costs more and people trust it more. So what you have, and something I witnessed myself personally, is in January when we knew this was hitting, remember, I said we better get some masks, okay? And my wife was telling me we better get some masks for us because we know, first of all, we knew that this was going to spread. But on top of that, we also know that for me and for you, we wanted to get it for our parents-in-law because they were going to fly back to China.
Correct.
Right? So we wanted to get them some so that when they took their trip, not like go buy the whole shop out,
No.
get a little pack of 10 or something. So we started looking and we found out that none of the CVS, Walgreens, Home Depots, Lowe's, any of these places had any masks left. And Amazon was on massive back order already.
That was already back then.
Yeah, it was in January. Okay. And when I went, and I did this experiment a couple of weeks ago, almost a month ago, when I went with my wife and I drove 120 miles diameter around where we live, and I went to the smallest little areas, to all the small little CVS's and stuff, and there were no masks left, okay, and hand sanitizer and whatever, antibacterial wipes. And they were telling us, sorry, like they don't even hit the shelves. There are people waiting outside buying them. And while I was doing that, I spotted in more than one parking lot minivans full of Chinese people. Now, I'm not being racist. They're Chinese because I understand Chinese. They're speaking Mandarin and they're counting boxes in the back of the minivan. They are Daigo. This is what they do. While you're doing your 9-to-5 office job, they are doing their 9-to-5 driving around, and they'll drive hundreds of miles to go and find these products which they can sell at a profit. That's what they do. They're traders. They're illegal gangs of traders. And that's what this woman's doing. And that's why she's like, ooh, we drove 1.5 miles out of like wherever in Florida. And there aren't that many Chinese here, so they don't know about the masks yet. So you see, by her own admission, she knows that if there is a Chinese diaspora in that area or a group of Chinese people, that they would have already bought all the masks. All right? So that's something I wanted to point out about this woman's video.
She also brags about the local Americans not knowing what situation is about to come their way. Which is very insipid.
The worst thing is, it's like she said, oh, thank you, you're so kind. And in the same breath, she's like, haha, they don't know about the limit of masks yet.
Like idiot Americans.
Yeah.
They're so friendly, but they're such idiots.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Isn't it just despicable? Yeah. So, of course, this has made the news. But, of course, we're not just going to leave it there. We want to...
No way.
We want to talk a little bit more about this woman. So let's just let her finish a little rant. Let's finish it up, and then we'll...
Let it sink in.
Yeah, we'll get back onto this.
成功结账。哎，心里太舒服了。又来一车，帮妈妈装呢。卡车装不下了，只能移过来，跟着忙活呢。Oh, you find it? Yeah. 装满。耶，满满的一卡车，历史性的时刻。继续，还能有40多分钟到营地。
Okay, so what can you say about that, C-Milk?
I mean, it's kind of despicable, right? Yeah. Now, you were talking about the prevalence of people doing this. And while that is very well known, my devil's advocate moment here is she ended up getting chastised, not so much by the Western media, although they did, and a lot of people were complaining about it, but actually by the Chinese media. And I'll tell you why. When she was doing this, the initial responses, all her fans... By the way, I want to throw her name out there. Her name is... 美国胖媳妇儿, that means American fat wife. That's literally what she calls herself.
Yeah.
So the reason that, initially her fans are like, great job, you're really stacking it up. We have a lot of selection now, we're really proud of you. And they call her like Gigi and stuff. Anyway, long story short, after a while, some of the posts were kind of like, well, that's kind of unfair to the people in America. You moved all the way to America and you're acting like this and making China lose face. You're making Chinese people look evil as hell. Yeah. You're like cackling like a witch, basically, bragging about stealing stuff, right? Yeah. And it was some of the younger people that were just appalled by her actions. And she got obliterated on Weibo.
Well, I mean, don't forget, when she posted this whole video, she actually said, I didn't leave any masks for the Americans. Yeah, she made that as a bragging point. I mean, that's where she really just crossed the line.
Right. So people thought it was despicable. She posted this thing about how, explain the situation, but I want you to play her videos in the background while we talk.
Well, how about this Weibo post of hers?
This is just what's going to go into the video, so I can explain it. Yeah. So, so what you're going to see is her response in the background. She made 2 videos, and I actually thought, I was waiting for this, I actually thought that her response would be more like, I'm so sorry. You know how Chinese, their apologies are like so sincere. I was totally wrong. 我错了不好意思很抱歉, right? Like they're really apologetic.
Sure.
Her apology is the least sincere thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Right.
To give you a very basic gist of it, she first starts by saying, like, I'm getting attacked left and right. Have you ever considered my feelings? Have you considered my feelings? I'm a lonely Chinese in America. I came all this way, and how do you think I feel? I'm in so much danger here anyway, and you guys are attacking me. I need your help. And she's, like, pleading to them.
For those of you who want links to the actual videos, because they're in Chinese, we understand them, we watch them, but we'll post the links so that you can go watch it for yourself.
Right.
But anyway.
So... I mean, I'm not going to get into the response yet. So anyway, she's asking for help, like moral support. She can't deal with this. She's so stressed out. And then she comes up with the most bullshit excuse you've ever heard in your life. You guys, even if you don't speak Chinese, even just by reading those pretty sparse subtitles, to be honest, you'll know that this doesn't make any sense. She goes on to say that she was just really excited and so nervous and hot and really so happy to see all these masks and bought them all out and didn't leave any for anyone because she knew how much she was going to help her Chinese family and friends because she was going to send them to them over in China. She wasn't going to sell them. She was going to send them over and help so many people in China, which has been hard hit by coronavirus, right? Mm-hmm. And when I was watching this, I was like, this woman is actually Satan. Like, she's actually evil, dude.
Absolutely terrible, yeah. Because it's her business to sell, and at that time...
You can't make up that excuse anymore.
You know, the thing is, at that time in China, it's not like there was a shortage of masks either. You could buy masks everywhere. The whole point is that she was getting these masks to sell them and make a profit.
Right.
The thing about her apology, which really appalled me, is that she made another appeal to all Chinese people to help her because now she's in America and being, like you said, is being it's kind of attacked. So, 帮忙我, you know,
right.
help me. And then she brings her little child into it, who's completely oblivious.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you can talk about that. Let's bring her. Oh, she goes on forever, doesn't she?
So then she goes on to say, I removed my comments section. I'm not, you guys have noticed that I'm not posting videos anymore, and she gets all this fake emotional bullshit going on. Then she realizes there's no one really taking her side anymore.
Sure.
Except for her like really basic fans.
Yeah.
So even on the Chinese internet, they're like, shut up, woman. You know, you're literally just shut up. You're making China lose face.
Yeah.
When you read the Weibo stuff. And then she decides to bring her little baby child into this, and she's like, I don't know how to deal with this, and I have to look at my child in the face, and he's saying, Mama, why are you sad? And I have to just be like, I'm not in good shape right now, but I still have to cook for you. You know, they always bring food into this. You ever notice that?
It's a big part of the
So show that part where she's...
Yeah, it's around about here where she's... Yeah, there she brings her child into the thing, which is despicable.
Right. Just a real nasty woman. Yeah. So we can cut to the end of this where we'll show something very funny if you haven't followed up on this.
Yeah, let's... so she...
If we could play the Curb Your Enthusiasm music, we would.
Yeah, if we wouldn't get a copyright strike.
Like I did. Okay. So this is her in 2018, I believe. That would be January 16th.
Yeah.
She got arrested. Her name is He Xingjiang. This is not doxing, by the way. This is public information.
It's public. Yeah.
She was arrested. I believe it was a misdemeanor charge.
For domestic battery and violence, obviously against her husband.
Yeah, if it was against her child, it would have been child abuse.
Yeah.
So then, you know what's really funny is that this originally didn't get shared around by American people that were pissed off. It
was the Chinese...
The Renro.
Yeah, Renro. I mean, you have to understand that the way the Chinese internet works is if a Chinese national makes China lose face, they will go into full-on assault. And this is what's happened because she did make China lose face. Quite honestly, she has made instantaneously every Chinese person living in America look like a piece of shit. It's her fault. And that's the way they believe.
It's unwarranted.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is the average American is not going to walk down the street and be like, oh, it's just like that woman.
Yeah, exactly.
But in Chinese people will think like that because everyone daibiaos everyone. They represent each other. Right?
That's also why you will have to understand that if a foreigner behaves badly in China, it reflects badly on every single foreigner. And that's also why they have these blanket rules for all foreigners because they believe that all foreigners are linked somehow.
Yeah.
And so they have that same mentality with her. So they think, oh, she put this out there and she made all Chinese people look bad, and that's why they're going out and doxing her. We're not doing that. Like you said, we haven't released her address or whatever. It's all publicly available.
It is there, but...
Yeah. But, you know, this is not a very good person.
No.
But this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to these Daigo. I have footage, which I'll be showing tomorrow, of another Daigo in their own shop in Lowe's bragging about how they told the clerks that they were buying these masks to donate to China and they got a 50% discount on the masks.
Because people were feeling charitable.
Yeah, because people, the people in Lowe's were being like, wow, we want to help.
We want to help. How can we help?
And then in our comment section, they're like, hey, do you still have more of these for me to buy?
Yeah.
And she's like, sorry, they're too difficult to get right now.
And if you guys are confused about this, I do not want to pinpoint this to Chinese culture. You know why? Because Taiwanese people wouldn't do this.
No.
The reason this is such a phenomenon and almost like a scourge on the whole psyche around mainland China is because when it was starving, when it was poor, when Mao stole everyone's rice and reallocated it, sold it to the Soviet Union and all this kind of stuff, people were eating grass, literally eating grass. Yeah. When you live through that time period, and it's quite a long period of time, and also fairly recently, we're not talking about 200 years ago, we're talking about 40 years ago. When you live through that period, your parents and grandparents that grew up in that generation have this very cutthroat mindset that if I don't get something now, if I don't take full advantage, even if it means screwing everybody around the world, if I don't get that, my family's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to starve to death. It's that very permanent mindset. My parents-in-law have it.
Yeah, mine too.
Your parents-in-law have it. Mm-hmm. It's much less evil than this example.
Of course. No, our parents
you still see it.
Yeah, are really, really good people.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Again, you're going to get the whataboutism and people who are going to be like, oh, yeah, other people do it too. But again, I just have to stress, not on the same scale.
No.
And I don't see South Africans going into the American stores and buying up every last item of something that's in demand in South Africa and then clandestinely shipping it back, avoiding customs on both ends, and making a profit and price gouging. I don't see that. And even if it's happening, there just aren't enough of us to make a dent. That's the thing. There are so many of these people doing this that it makes a dent. It made so much of a dent that right now you cannot in America go out and buy a face mask for your children. You cannot do it. It's not possible. Australia too. Any other Western country. They had state-sponsored people from China in Australia.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. 2
big real estate companies. During January and February, all of their staff were tasked to go and buy every last piece of medical supply that they could find. And they all got shipped back to China on jets, private jets. And, this is something that we are not prepared for. High trust societies don't know how to deal with this. And that's why they succeed. Because when you see a pretty girl in the shop buying a bunch of face masks, you don't think twice about it. But what you don't understand is they're a small part of a massive machine that is there to fleece every last thing that they can. And the problem is it's okay when it's cosmetics because, oh, well, I don't have lipstick this week, so what? But when it's something like infant formula for your child or masks, these things that are so sought after at the moment, when those get taken away, it makes a real impact. Why do you think doctors and hospitals are asking for public donations and crying out? It's because all the stocks have been depleted around the world and ended up in China.
I'm assuming you weren't saying a pretty girl. You weren't.
I wasn't talking about her.
Okay.
No, because, I've bumped into Daigo a lot, and quite often they're university students.
Younger, yeah.
Younger university students and stuff. And you don't want to take your anger out on them because it's not their fault either. It's the fact that there's no mechanism put in place to stop it.
Right.
Like, how can you blame an opportunistic university student? They make more doing Daigo than the average person makes working a full-time job.
Correct.
Because they can make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month just by going to the local pharmacies and buying things and putting them on there. It's similar to Instagram type thing. And, oh, look, I got all these lipsticks. And people are like, I want it. And they send it off, ship it off individually. And they're in Japan and they're everywhere. And I've encountered them across the world. And that's the thing. When you understand Chinese culture and you can speak Chinese and you can see it for what it is, you spot it straight away. But like I said, you can't start blaming them. You have to blame the system. Because if we allow it to happen, then we're the ones to blame. There should be some very strict export control, some kind of very strict purchase control. And if someone's trying to buy every single mask in the shop should be like, hang on a second, this is probably not correct.
Well, the reason it's pervasive is because they can't make big supply chains without staying off the radar.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why you have to have physical university students, people like this, that go and buy small stocks. It's not it's not enough to trigger any alarm bells legally. Right?
Right.
Even if you go to one store and buy out the entire thing, it's still not enough. So when you do that, you pay cash. It's totally off the books.
Yeah.
Then they have their own ways, individual sales, customs bribery, which is rampant in China.
Yeah.
And so how do you stop that? It's very difficult.
The thing is, when I was driving around looking for masks and whatnot, well, you've got a minivan there, and what you have is small purchases. So they go to this CVS and they buy whatever they had in there, which is probably a couple hundred masks or something. But the minivan then, at the end of the day, is stocked up with everything in that county or whatever. Every single thing. That thing is just packed full. So it is little purchases here and there, but it's incredibly effective. And
it is.
They walk away with
That's why I'm saying it's
tens
difficult.
Of thousands
you can't crack down on
Yeah,
that.
I know. So I don't know what the solution is, but a solution has to be found, and it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
And we don't notice it until a pandemic hits.
Correct.
Like you said, who cares if you don't have your lipstick?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, the reason we're even talking about this is we're anti-discrimination. Believe it or not, we don't want people to be discriminating against people. I want people to discriminate against this practice and this business. It's kind of like I want people to discriminate against mafia and Yakuza nonsense or whatever, or underground.
It's a racket.
Yeah, it's a racket. It's like a gambling racket. It's an illegal gang trading thing. It's not legal, okay? So let's put an end to it. Just like people slinging meth on the side of the road. I have the same feeling. They're illegal and they
I would
suck.
probably not go that far. but
I do
Okay,
personally,
fair
because these people put more people in danger than the meth slingers.
Yeah, I guess the customers are just the only ones getting affected.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing
right.
is, we're going to move on. So let's have a couple of super chats before we move into our next
Sorry,
thing.
we went on for a while on that one. Zachary C, $5 from your #1 quarantine super fan. The world must open its eyes to the truth, and that the CCP abuses the people of China. They are the victims. Absolutely.
Correct, 100%.
Christian, thank you, from Iceland. Dikant, probably too early to tell, but do you think the coronavirus aftermath might affect the 2022 Beijing Olympics? I certainly hope so.
I think they're going to have to push all the Olympics forward because, they've kind of stopped the whole Olympic thing for Japan, so they're going to push it forward, and I think they're going to end up having to push a lot of it forward.
I mean, I think the world will also... I know the Olympic Committee is notoriously corrupt and horrible, but at this point, I think the public reaction to hosting it in Beijing would be, outrage.
Yeah.
Public outrage. Thank you. And thank you, Lao Wai, for your inspirational video on volunteering. I'm on unpaid leave with no idea when I can get back to work. When I can get back to work. Now I see it's a great opportunity to help others so we can get to the other side. Anna from Finland. Kiitos. And I appreciate that so much. It is really crap for people. I mean, honestly, we've been financially wrecked just because of the whole monetization thing surrounding this. But imagine if, at least we can pull dribs and drabs from our following. Imagine if you're...
Oh, sorry, I'm making a mistake. There's audio playing in the background. Apology. Please do that again. I'm trying to fix something here, guys. There's something going on.
Stop playing that clip.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Anyway.
Please continue what you were saying.
Yes. What are you doing anyway?
This thing just threw a
crapped out.
curveball.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry. Thank you, Anna. Really appreciate it, and we understand because we know that we've been hit with demonetization. To reiterate, but I can't imagine what it's like to not be compensated for going to your 9 to 5 that you can't go to anymore.
Yeah,
that's got to be horrific. The impact on individuals is going to be massive, and it sucks.
This has impacted the entire world.
Remember what we said earlier?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like we're sitting here in LA.
Yeah.
And we're talking about something that happened thousands and thousands of miles away. And to us, it's a personal thing because we lived in China. But can you imagine what it feels like to someone that has no relation, has never even thought about this country, and they're locked in their home? They can't go to work because of the Chinese government?
Yeah.
They never even had a thought about it in their whole life.
I can't take my daughter to a park, to the beach, and it's very clear why.
It's just insane.
Yeah, it's very clear why. Oh, anyway,
let me do a couple more.
Before you do that, my parents in South Africa have also been severely hit. The whole of South Africa has been severely hit. They're all under lockdown right now as well. You're not allowed to leave your house and everything. It's the same idea. Very limited travel allowed. And it's massively hit everyone over there. The economy, the Rand the Rand's in free fall forever, but, it's much worse now. People can't get to work. They can't get paid. And the government can't help them out. You don't get a bailout check like you do in America and so on. People are on their own.
Isn't it like 500 Rand?
Yeah, it's only for specific people.
That's $18, by the way.
Yeah, $18 a month. Okay? What's anyone supposed to do with that?
What is that, a meal?
500 Rand in South Africa is not even enough to fill your petrol tank, your gas tank.
No, it wouldn't be.
You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So you're dealing with a very bad situation in South Africa. You're dealing with a bad situation here. Neighbors, where I live, because of the lifestyle of America's a very sort of credit-driven lifestyle, isn't it? So people are always paying stuff off. They're not going to be able to make their rent at the end of the month.
No.
That kind of thing. Luckily, the complex that I'm in, did I say last time? But they're giving a 10% off of rent for everyone.
There were some I heard that were doing even more than that, which is great.
Yeah, and what they're doing as well is they're saying, listen, if you can't pay, we're not going to evict you. We're going to sort out a payment plan, and just don't worry about it. We got your backs during this, which is really, it's very reassuring anyway. It's nice. But, everyone's being affected by this in a terrible, terrible way. Anyway, sorry. No, next one.
John Funk, thank you. Kaylee, bless you guys. Thank you. Dion Chapman, thank you for the info. Thanks for the info, guys. Here's to the mask fund. See you after my meeting this morning.
Okay, awesome.
I want to throw something in here real quick before we move on. The reason that whole evil lady thing really bothered me was because it really hits home when we didn't ask, but when people were generous enough to send us some money to send to our friends in China, which successfully happened, by the way. Our deliveries were a failure. But when we found the correct way to do it, get the money to them for them to buy it through their channels, which, to be honest, is probably Daigou in a way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
But at least they're showing us where they're going, and they're people we know. When she does something like that, it's like I think people even without an evil bone in their body are going to be like, why would I even bother to help anyway then?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How evil is that?
You know, the rest of the world has been incredibly supportive of China during this time, believe it or not.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of aid, well, at least a lot of offers of helping out and so on, which a lot of them have been stonewalled or just refused or not followed up on.
Right.
But everybody's very charitable, and at least in the circles I hang in here, so many people were asking me how they can help China during this time, what they can do.
Right.
Is it possible that they could somehow pay for us to send masks to help the people we know in China? Everybody is so generous when it comes to helping China out. But at the same time, you're just not seeing that same thing back.
No.
You're seeing the opposite. You're seeing a very selfish kind of a thing going on. And then you get people saying things like, oh, China's so safe. You can get masks there, but you can't get masks in America. America is, oh, where are all the masks? Oh, they just don't exist. Well, you know why? You know why.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, let's continue.
Okay, we're going to continue. So now, remember, we're talking about discrimination against foreigners, right? But we first want to talk about discrimination against Asian Americans and Asians living overseas, okay? So I think the first thing we can say before we even continue here is that we do not support any kind of discrimination against Asians at all.
We shouldn't even have to say that.
I know, but
ridiculous.
It's important to put that out there.
Yeah.
But neither does Western society. And for instance, what do we have here? We have a volunteer group of U.S. veterans are patrolling the San Francisco Chinatown amid coronavirus-related racism. Now, that's a very striking headline. But what it is we've been hearing a lot in the news that there have been a lot of racially motivated attacks. Now, that's a very obscure term, attacks, because it's not actually attacks. Most of the time, what it is people verbally abusing people. So it's not, you read this headline, like, racially motivated attacks, you're thinking of like flash mobs beating people up. And
I mean, there has been violence.
Yeah, there's definitely been violence, but the majority of them are racial abuse hurled at people verbally. So, calling people names, spitting at people, shouting at people, hey, get out of here, you this and that and the next thing. So in response to all these reports around America and the free world that we're hearing, you're getting volunteers like this going out to stop it. So what they do is they get together and they patrol the streets.
San Francisco Chinatown.
This is in San Francisco Chinatown, which of course we've been there. It's a wonderful place, by the way. It's fantastic. I loved it
fun.
there. But they're walking, and it says here the group hasn't stepped in to thwart any discriminatory acts yet, because, well, there obviously haven't been any while they've been doing these patrols.
Sure.
But the thing is, the fact that they're out there in order to stop this shows you how little the West tolerates this kind of behavior. The fact that we can read about it and read the numbers, that they have a number that they're reporting.
There's a stat.
There's statistics on how many racially motivated incidents there have been.
650.
Yeah, they say there's 650 acts of racism, xenophobia, and anti-Asian hate crimes.
The reason you're reading this is because 99% of people, just throw a random figure out there, hate this stuff.
Yes.
Western society, like you said, does not tolerate this.
No.
They report it, they tell the truth, and then they try to stop it.
And if anyone ever tries to do any of these things, they get completely lambasted.
Right.
If anyone's ever caught being xenophobic or racist or anything, the public as a whole will condemn them and destroy them.
Right.
Okay? That's why you will, if someone is racist, you'll see them plastered all over the mainstream media. They'll be on TV, they'll be in newspapers. That's why these incidents are so often reported,
Right.
Now, the one thing about these incidents that keep getting reported is I see and I look for this stuff, right? Because I need to know. This is something that I'm deeply concerned about. Don't forget, my wife is Chinese. My parents-in-law, who are still here, are Chinese. Same with you. And, my child's half Chinese. The last thing I want is to ever have a situation where they encounter any of this kind of racism.
Yeah, this kind of news really sets off alarm bells when your entire family, we're the only white people in our family.
Absolutely,
You know what I mean?
yeah. So I look it up, and you know what? The video evidence and stuff it's kind of hard to come by. But you know what's not hard to come by? is video evidence of the discrimination and racism against foreigners in China right now. But you know what's super, super hard to come by are any statistics, because there are none.
It's not reported at all.
Because it's not condemned, it's condoned. And we're going to get into that.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah, this is why I honestly wanted to start with this, to show that in the West, we do not tolerate this. Nowhere in the West is this tolerated. In fact, it's kind of the opposite in the West. We make sure that everybody feels comfortable as much as possible. At least we try in our culture. So,
well, I want to throw this in there.
Yeah.
Think about the most racist place in the Deep South where they just don't even have other people from other colors, right? Colors and creeds. Maybe in that neighborhood and in that small society, it's not necessarily condoned, but it's kind of like that's their way, right? It's their way of life. While the entire country looks at someone like that and like, you're so uneducated, uncultured. How could you be like that? Now imagine a country of 1.4 billion people that are told it's okay to not only discriminate against black people, but white people, but Indian people, but Japanese people, Korean people, South Americans, Mexicans. It doesn't matter where you're from. Everything we're going to cover today encompasses every race in the world.
Except for Chinese.
Yeah, right now, more than ever, it is foreigner versus Chinese. Because in their minds.
Yeah.
Right? It has nothing to do with where you're from now.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we wanted to, first of all, share a couple of situations that... well, this is very related. Let's just play this clip and then we'll talk about it. This is related to the whole mask thing. Remember how this woman's bragging about, taking all the masks? Well, imagine you're a foreigner in China right now and you want to go buy a mask from a clinic. What's going to happen to you?
Today is 29th March 2020. We're in this market. This is the wholesale market for medical equipment. They are letting Chinese buy masks, all the health gear to protect themselves against the virus. But as foreigners here, there's a Russian here, there's another Russian here, another Russian. There's a small girl here. They will not let foreigners go in. This is the guy. He says foreigners cannot buy masks or cannot enter, but Chinese can. We told them that we have all the documents, health certificates. They said they don't care. The police came and the police said, too bad, you can't enter. That's the rule of the building, so we can't enter. I told them, isn't this racist? They said no, they don't care. It's racist or not. That's their policy.
Okay, so what you could see from that clip is that they will not allow foreigners into that clinic in order to buy, necessary products. Now, it's not just a clinic like that. And as you heard of the person in the video, they call the cops, and the cops are just like, it's their business, they can do what they want. Just imagine if that happened anywhere else in the world, that a clinic that's selling things you really need.
That's like warfare, dude.
And you're like, sorry, no Chinese allowed. And then you call the police, and the police come and say, oh, yeah, no, but that's okay because it's their business. They can say that. Do you think that would happen here?
No.
No, absolutely
That's
not.
why I actually want to remove the R word from this entire conversation.
Yeah.
It is now literally the state-sponsored government of China, mainland China, versus everyone in the whole world in their minds.
Yeah.
And that's that when you have to point that out. It is not even racism at this point.
Yeah. So it's easy for us to just share news articles and these kind of videos like that one that get posted. Because look, because of our position, because we talk about China, we're China watchers, because that's what we do. That's our living, right? We make videos about China. We receive huge amounts of these videos from people that we don't know.
Correct.
So strangers who've gone through this, they send it to us because they want us to share it, or they get shared to us by other concerned people. So we have literally hundreds of these videos. If we wanted to, we could make a compilation, just a compilation of foreigners being blocked from entering businesses, foreigners being told you cannot do this, you cannot do that. But we thought, you know what, how about we reach out to people we actually know personally in China and see what they have to say. There's a guy I've known for many, many, many years. I may even have met him before I met you. I don't even know, but at least around the same time. And you've known him for a very long time too. He's a wonderful guy. He lives in Shanghai, which everyone knows. Shanghai is the most sophisticated city. It's also the most foreigner-friendly city in China.
Foreigners have always been there.
There's always been a big foreign presence, and that's kind of the
Pearl of the Orient.
It's also got other names of the Orient. It's the entry point it's always been the entry point. Now I'm getting off track. For foreigners to get into China.
Yes.
Anyway, thing is, he lives there with his wife. He's also Chinese, and he's the most inoffensive guy I've ever met. He's
the
a
sweetest guy in the
lovely
world.
guy, and he's been going to a hairdresser for years. And well, let's just roll the clip then, shall we? Let's get this on for you guys.
So this is my local barber where I normally go to get my hair cut. And you'll notice right now I've got like no hair. Why? Because I went to go in there earlier this week and they're like, no foreigner, sorry. And the guy spoke great English and I asked him, why? I've been coming here for years. And he's like, oh, well, no foreigners because foreigners are bringing the COVID-19 into China, the Wuhan virus, they're bringing it into China. I said, actually, that's Chinese people coming back into China. They're mostly bringing the reinfection. He's like, no, it has to be foreigners. The news tells us so. So I went home and just gave myself a little, bobbing job, and there we go.
Yeah, okay, so as he said, he was denied entry just to get a haircut, even though he has his clean bill of health and he's got his special little QR code. Maybe you can tell people about this QR code.
So basically, when you get inside China or you're a foreigner, you have to have this QR code on your phone. And if you have either not gone through your 14 days of quarantine or you've tested positive for coronavirus, it gives you a red one. So immediately, anytime you go somewhere and you have to show it to these people to allow you entrance into parks and shops and things like this, if you have a red one, you're not getting in, right? Obviously. Right. They can call the authorities and stuff. Why is he out of quarantine? Why is he tested positive?
Yeah.
Then you get a pending notice, right? After you've done your quarantine, or you don't have to go to quarantine because you stayed in China the entire time. Right. And then you get a green QR code. So as a foreigner, you have to walk around with your green QR code to get into places. But what we've noticed from all these people, and we've been inundated with this stuff. Even this Korean guy, actually, he had one.
Yeah.
He said he loves being in China because he can blend in.
Right.
Got into a taxi and then had a slight accent in his Chinese. Taxi driver, he said, get out of the car, right?
Yeah.
He shows his green QR code. Taxi driver's like, no, get out. You're a foreigner. It doesn't even matter where he's from, right?
Yeah.
So these people that keep sending us this stuff, if people can physically see or hear that they're a foreigner, they don't even care if you have the QR code that lets you into places anymore. They're just saying stay out and even putting up signs.
This is the problem is, yes, the majority of people that have now really gotten to the point where they're like, they can't believe what's going on anymore. These are the foreigners that stayed in China during the outbreak.
Yeah.
So they haven't
Loyal.
left. Yeah, they haven't left. They stayed in their apartments when they were told to. They followed all the rules that they were told to. They got their health checkups. They got everything. They got their special little, I call it the Star of David QR code. But I know that all Chinese people also have to have a QR code as well to prove that they're healthy or whatever. But foreigners, it's different. They have a special designation. Anyway, this QR code doesn't help them. They try to get into the gym. They're like, no foreigners allowed, even if you have this clean bill of health. And it's the government saying they're clean. We've checked them. Everything's fine. Doesn't matter. You're a foreigner. You're not getting in here. Not getting into this bar. You're not getting into this place. And it's heartbreaking. Anyway, as far as my friend Snarky goes, he's a really good guy. And
nice.
That's why it shocks me even more, because he's so friendly and so nice to everybody. And the fact that he's gone to that hairdresser for so long, you would think they'd have a decent relationship where the guy would be like, it doesn't matter, you can still come in. But no. Turn your back on the guy because he's a foreigner.
That's when xenophobia, as a knock-on effect from the education from the government, it trumps friendships, it trumps your customer base.
Absolutely. I've done some collaborations with him in the past. I recently did one where he did a thing about 4K video. I would appreciate if you went to go show him a little bit of support.
Yeah.
There's a link.
Links, we already posted in the description.
A link in the description to his channel. Anyway, let's move on to the next guy. Maybe you can introduce the next guy.
Next guy, I believe he's Canadian. What city does he live in?
He's in Guangzhou.
In Guangzhou, okay. In Guangzou, another first-tier city. Lots of foreigners.
Yeah.
And he's been in China for quite a long time. I'm not going to say how many years, maybe 7 years, maybe. Mm-hmm. And he went out to go get some stuff done. He wanted to go to the fashion market and buy some stuff. He's got his code. Mm-hmm. I don't believe he ever left.
No.
He never left.
He didn't leave. And his business is about fashion,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So he deals in like apparel, basically.
Yeah.
So he has to go get some stuff. He's got a Chinese girlfriend, I believe. And she appears
Wife.
sorry,
Yeah.
Chinese wife in this video. And he's going out to buy stuff, and he believed he slapped a little camera in his pocket or something just to show what happens when foreigners go trying to buy stuff with a clean bill of health.
Yeah, so we're going to roll the clip for you, and we'll just let him talk for this
Sure.
one. So let's do it.
Okay guys, body mount is on. I'm gonna bring up my QR code, have it ready for when I get over there. Where is it? Here we go. QR code looks like that. I mean, it looks like people are doing business. Oh, fight or something's going on back there. Let's see if they let me in. I have a feeling no. I mean, other people are going in. Yeah. 什么？不要外国人。
你有没有中国身份证？还有中国身份证。主力要去那里，你们那个居住的这个部分他们自己看。我来送东西给我发给你看看。刚刚就去了个厕所，这是叫过去了，在那边，这边。
Yeah, can you ask this guy why I'm not allowed to go in? Is it because I'm a foreigner? Hello? Can you? I can't hear you. Hello? Hello? Sure. My wife.
那个医生在讲，麻烦问一下金宝是这个里面吗？这里面电子呀。咋了？外国人不允许来。疫情期间不能进来。
What did he say? Okay, because I'm for, so it's being racist. Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
And a random riot shield appeared.
Yeah, exactly.
Scary foreigner.
I just want to point out that, first of all, this market, the whole point of this market is that they do... it's for people that want to do exporting of, fashion items.
The
and stuff.
biggest customers in these markets, and actually the traders, are from Africa. They're
Yeah.
Africans from all over Africa because they get cheap Chinese goods and then resell them back in Africa.
Yeah, exactly. That's Guangzhou is very well known
Yes.
for that, right? So they make business. They do business with foreigners. So now he wants to go in there to go and do his business. Like that's what he does. He deals in fashion and stuff. They won't allow him in because he's a foreigner. And then a guy with a riot shield and helmet and everything appears when he sees, oh, there's a foreigner trying to get in here, And it just shows you, he calls his wife and asks his wife to talk to the guy. And that doesn't even help because a lot of the foreigners that live in China, that's how they get by, is they have a girlfriend, a wife, or an assistant that will help them in situations like this. And usually, you can talk your way through. But nope. Not in this situation. He has his little QR code that says that he's healthy and that he's okay. So he can prove to them, just like everyone else, they're not even really checking. They just let them walk in here. But because of the color of his skin, sorry, you're not allowed. Now, why are we not seeing reports of this in the media? Why don't we see, these racial or xenophobic attacks or incidents against foreigners on the rise in China? We don't
by
see
Chinese
that.
media. Right.
Yeah,
You don't-
obviously.
No.
Not even here.
No. Well, a little bit. A little bit.
If you do, it's only very slight. But at the same time, they'll be like, but look at the huge amount of attacks against Asians and blah, blah, blah.
This is what I wanted to say, is that
it's so unbalanced.
You get this argument that, well, you're in their country. If that's the way they want to do things, then that's the way they do things. Totally okay, whatever. I don't buy into that, but totally okay if that's what you want to believe. The problem is when the Chinese government says that we and everyone in my country is being racist and plays the race card because we disagree with the government and try to entrap all Chinese people under this blanket of a communist CCP identity and then call everyone racist that's critical. You can't do this to foreigners in your country and then claim that stuff, because you know who's going to take care of it? American people will take care of it. Nice people of all races will take care of racism. We don't need you to point that out.
Exactly. That's completely condemned here. That's the whole point. You know, the problem that I have too, like you mentioned, is that the Chinese newspapers and Chinese state media will jump on these like reports from the Western media saying there's 600 odd, 700 odd incidents. They love that so much because they get to plaster it everywhere and use it as reasoning for them to do things like this and get away with it. They'll be like, oh, well, in America, there's all this racism. And they just use it as ammunition. Yeah. Whereas, you know, they don't report on any of these incidents.
Correct.
It's frustrating. Anyway, this guy, he has a channel as well called The Hollywood Life, and we've linked him.
Below Snarky's link down below.
If you would like to go and see the full video, he has posted the full video. You know, he puts a little bit more context there. There he is over there. That's what he looks like. As you can see, he's wearing a mask. He looks very non-threatening, you know. He's got a pink mask on, for goodness sake, you know, and they won't let him in. Anyway, please go check him out as well, because, you know, we're very grateful that he sent through the footage as well as Snarky.
Thank you.
Anyway, what you're seeing here, again, is, and I did show these in my racism video, some of them, but there's more clips of basically.
他们给你身份证了吗？我们是外国人不进，中国人进。这个不是这个，你就是他们给你身份证了吗？我们每个人都有注册的。我也有，我也有。这就是我给他一码。你稍等一下，我这个沟通一下。跟关系。我们都没着急，当然急嘛。外国人不进，我中国人进，什么意思？这不是一码头吗？这不是一码头吗？他刚刚说了，他说老板不让外国人进。
So, I mean, first of all, the guy's Chinese is pretty good. It's not bad at all. But what he's saying there is, here's my QR code. I'm healthy. I'm following the law. Why aren't you letting me in? And then the guy's like, my boss said we can't let foreigners in. And he's like saying, yeah, he just said that they won't let foreigners in, you know? So it's the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're following the law. You're a foreigner, you're not getting in, you know? It's incredibly disheartening. Look, we could continue on with these clips. We've got a lot of them, right? There's a karaoke that...
we could have like a 5-hour special on this, but...
Yeah, the incidences are massive, you know? Where we can say there's 700 document cases of these kind of incidents happening in the West, there are thousands and thousands of them happening in China right now. And the reason we know is because the vast amount of people that are contacting us, sending actual video clips of this stuff happening. It's not hearsay, you know, it's real.
So I guess we're going to report it then.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next bit here.
I want to read this.
Okay, so please read this for everyone.
This is for a fitness club, and they even put this up in Chinese and English. It's bilingual. It says, due to the infestification of the... Is that a word?
It is now.
Infestification of the current epidemic abroad. Keep in mind these key words, by the way. In order, this literally flies in the face of all logic that there's no cases in China. But in order to protect the safety of members and staff, the club does not accept foreigners for exercise. Memberships will be extended. Well, that's a nice little touch. Sorry for any inconvenience. Thanks for your kind understanding and cooperation. So again, you got the QR code. You're already... I'm going to be a little brutal here. If you are crazy enough to live in China right now, and I hate to say this, I've put this out there. If you're a foreigner in China, I would think critically about finding a way out, at least for the time being.
Yes.
This kind of stuff is a bad sign. Because when the government institutes these kind of labeling practices that separate foreigners and Chinese even more than they already were, right? This animosity always existed, but now it's really bad. And then you get people flying, like completely ignoring the rules of this QR code and say, you're not allowed to come in here anymore in our private establishment, even though the government said it's fine.
Yeah.
they're totally disobeying that, and it's not really cracked down on that much,
Yeah.
right? Then you know there's something really bad happening.
Sure.
Right.
You know, you do have, and this is a very bad thing. I want to address people that might be apologists towards this kind of stuff. And you say, oh, it's understandable. I understand. They fought so hard to contain the virus. And so I get it. I get it why they wouldn't want me as a foreigner to go in, because, you know, they don't really know if I've got the disease or not. Bullshit. That's what that QR code's all about. How can you accept that? You walking around in China saying, oh, I think it's okay, because I tell you one thing, I would not accept for 1 second a business here having a sign up saying no Chinese allowed.
We would be militant about it.
I would go and complain and make a big stink of it. I've got Chinese family, a Chinese wife. I would not stand for it for a second, and I would not make up any freaking excuse either. I wouldn't say, oh, because the Wuhan virus comes from China, that's why they're doing it. No.
Do you think the majority of people would do that? No way.
Especially if they walked up to the shop or whatever with a health certificate that was issued by the CDC of the United States saying this person does not have the Wuhan coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever the hell you want to call it. They do not have it, and they still say, no, but you're Chinese, you can't come in. That's what's happening in China. And people that are apologizing for this and saying, oh, it's understandable, you know, blah, 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 screw yourself.
Double standard
It
much?
shows you just how much you're willing to tolerate racism, bigotry, and xenophobia. And yet, you're the ones crying out that this is happening around the rest of the world. No, my friend, wake up. It is not happening in the West. Okay? Not happening in the West. People here are civil, and they're against racism. They're against xenophobia. And this is just not what we're seeing in China.
It's just the most hypocritical double standard you've ever seen in your life. The same people that criticize us for criticizing the Chinese government and giving us these horrific labels are the same people that make excuses for this. It doesn't make any bit of sense.
No.
You're being a dumbass.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Absolutely. So let's see a couple more of these things. And I've got a silver lining kind of here.
Sure. I gotta read a couple more.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Received.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, I'll skip the top part. Basically says, "Oh, that sucks. Why can't you leave your apartment?" They say because this place doesn't accept foreigners at this time. But our boss has made an agreement with community to let us in. But we can't leave our apartment, otherwise Chinese will panic and call the police. I still don't see any logic to this. What's the point? They saw us today in 2 weeks. They said they'd still freak out. So again, the law is instituted. They get the QR code. They're tested. They're clean. But still, the private enterprises, the schools, the businesses, the places you work for, your landlord can institute their own arbitrary bullshit law and say, no, you're going to freak everyone out. No, you can't go out.
I've actually got something to add to this. You know, I was speaking to our friend in Beijing. Not going to dox him, not going to give out his name. Right now, Beijing's always been a little different.
Yeah.
Okay, but right now, in order for him to get in and out of his apartment complex, he has like a little certificate which proves that he lives there.
Right.
And, you know, that he's healthy and all that. And he has to be checked twice every time he comes into his apartment. Once when he comes through the gate, once before he's allowed into the building. Okay? Now, his girlfriend, who's Mexican, okay, also living in Beijing, she has the same thing for her apartment complex. But she came and stayed over with him for like a couple of days.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
What else are you going to do during this time, right?
Lol.
Anyway, the thing is, seriously, she's not allowed back into her apartment that she's paying rent for because they can't account for the couple of days where she went.
Right.
She's got proof that she didn't leave the country.
Right.
She's got her little QR code. She's got her little certificate of I'm allowed in and out of my place. But they're like, but you can't prove where you were for those like 4 or 5 days. So you're not allowed back in now. And there's no way that she can prove it. So she's not allowed to get back into the apartment that she's paying rent for. So
all her shit's inside.
Yeah. So I guess now she's just going to have to stay over at our friend's house. Oh, poor him.
Oh, poor him.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys can get married. Just expedite this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, anyway, I mean, I just find it's terrible that this kind of thing happens because
For sure.
we're not seeing my apartment complex where I live. There are Chinese people living there. I haven't seen anyone looking at anyone sideways.
No, I mean, that's just a joke, right?
I mean, seriously, like, oh, you're not allowed in here because you're Chinese. Imagine that.
That lasts for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, you went out like down. You went and stayed with family for a couple of days. You're not allowed back in here.
No.
Come on. It's just not how it works. But it does work like that in China, you know?
Again, yeah, just to cap that off, the reason we're so mad, and again, you can say this, they can do whatever they want in China, it's their country, But you can't have them point out the faults of other places when there really aren't any, and they're being supported and helpful.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Anyway, let's see what's next on our little list of
Riles us up real
stuff.
good. Real good.
Okay, now this is the...
This is interesting.
It's kind of a silver lining. Now, I have to give you some context behind this. This is actually before this whole breakout of the Wuhan flu. So this is, as you can see, this is on December 15th. 12月15号. The guy who took this photo, he's a very well-known television presenter. He's famous in China, super famous. He's a good friend of mine. A very nice guy too. He loves China. He's fluent. He's better at speaking, reading, and writing Chinese than the majority of Chinese people I know. He's really that good. And he's dedicated the majority of his adult life to China. Like I said, he's a well-known TV presenter.
Super nice guy.
This was just downstairs from his apartment.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see this is a club. It's a bar.
Keep in mind the date.
Yeah. This is before this whole breakout. This is
Right.
before this current madness that we're seeing. And it says, decline foreigners. So no drugs and no foreigners allowed. Okay? So he complained to the local...
It's interesting. It's in traditional.
Yeah, well, it's in Guangzhou.
Yeah.
So, you know, Guangzhou,
They're like
Cantonese
Cantonese,
people,
yeah.
He complained to the local government, and within 2 days, it was taken down.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually put out an apology, which we're going to...
But I really want to point out here, this is before this.
Yes, so anyone
Right.
who thinks that this kind of anti-foreigner thing is only happening now because of the rhetoric from the government, realize that this is something that
It's been ramping up.
it's always been something that you will find in China in certain areas. Anyway,
But much more so in the past few years.
yeah. So let's just quickly... what's the reason that they decided that they didn't want foreigners
just
to come?
read it?
Yeah, just read the first part of this.
5 years. Okay, so this announcement regarding refusing to serve foreign customers. 5 years has passed by since our grand opening. Mr. Pilot has been treating all the customers with fairness and kindness. We're trying to provide a safe and comfortable environment for all customers. But in the past 2 years, there were increasing numbers of incidents with foreign customers are breaking the law within the establishment. Countless complaints have been made can they use Google Translate at least? Regarding foreign customers harassing female customers within the establishment. Due to the increasing percentage of foreign customers breaking the law and our effort trying to protect other customers' right, enjoy a safe environment, we made such a hard decision, which was banning foreigners.
Yeah, so, I mean, seriously, they banned foreigners because they are worried that foreigners are harassing...
Hitting on girls.
Yeah, hitting on girls. That's what bars are kind of all about, aren't they? You know? So, and it's not like the Chinese patrons weren't doing the same, but it was just an easy out for them.
Can I throw in something here?
Sure.
There's something that nobody has brought up about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Foreigners are much less important customers to these bars. They spend a
Well,
lot
did that
less money than Chinese people.
They do.
So when you're a Chinese person, if you're going to a bar, especially in a first-tier city, you're wealthy. You're going to spend a ton of money, especially to show off with your friends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The foreigner's going to spend a tenth of what that Chinese customer is doing. So for this, it just made sense anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's very financially motivated as well.
Exactly. Now, the thing is, this is before this nonsense, like I said. And my friend was able to get them to take the sign down and get an apology, that apology to,
Right.
you know, which was posted on their website or whatever. However, now it's government condoned. We've
Right.
seen, if you watched my video about racism, the hotel group that was refusing U.S. passport holders and others to stay there actually said that it was a government mandate. It was from the local authorities, told them they're not allowed to accept people from the USA and other different places.
So when you say Global Times, the CCTV, and People's Daily outright lying about this, it's bullshit because the local authorities do get directives from somewhere, guess where, to not allow foreigners in.
Now, I would like to, again, I've been in contact again with my friend, the guy who got that sign taken down. I don't want to dox the guy. He's a wonderful guy, and he's very invested in China. He loves China. He loves everything about
More power
China.
to him.
Yeah. But even he got unhinged the other day because he was refused entry to 3 different bars, or, you know, because that's what he does. He's into the nightlife, you know. He's a personality. He has to go there because for shows and stuff. He was denied entry into 3 bars in one night. And he took photos and he made big complaints. And, you know, later on, because people found out, he's that famous guy, they got a hold of him and apologized and stuff. But the fact of the matter is that even if you are the number one perfect example of
He's
a foreigner,
basically Chinese.
yeah, who can speak and read and write the language, who loves the country, who lives there, who's embraced
Millions
it
of
100%. Yeah, he's known on TV. Everybody knows his face. Even he is getting denied to these places. So you can be top of the pops foreigner, you're still going to be treated like an outsider and blocked from a bar, from a restaurant, from a clinic, from a hotel, you know?
And this is all the direct product and runoff of the narrative that's being pushed on state media.
Yeah, and so it's got to the point where they realize that they can, or they're actually being encouraged to do this, you know?
Yeah.
Watch out, these filthy disease-carrying foreigners have come back into China and they're going to infect us all.
Doesn't matter where you're from.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. Did you put in the picture of the British lady who had her thing? Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Let me just bring that up. I think we skipped over that. Yeah. Here's another thing which is kind of important for us to look at. Is,
you want to read it?
Yeah, okay, I'll read the one from the British lady. She says, "This is, by the way, taken out of a
public group,
public
it's not
WeChat
private,
group,
yeah.
which is for like teachers in China." So she's like, "I've been spat at, deliberately driven into by a man on a motorbike who screamed abuse at me, kicked out of a hotel I was staying in for work reasons, blocked from entering my apartment compound, and had a whole carriage to myself on metro at rush hour," so the subway system. "All accompanied by phrases such as dirty foreigner, English disease, take your dirty virus home, and my personal favorite, American virus whore." And she says, "I'm English. The police do nothing to help, just shrug and use that panacea of words in these special times." And then this was also sent to my friend this morning and sent some other racist thing. You know, we get a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm not a virus," hashtag I'm not a virus or whatever. But in China, they're shouting at people, "You dirty foreigner, you take your disease back to your country."
Let me make a comparison.
Yeah.
When that happened in New York City, the shouting like "you dirty Chinese virus" or whatever, and
Yeah.
throwing water and a couple people got punched and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. We knew about it
Yes.
immediately.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we've just shown you a tiny scratch, a pinpoint prick of what's happening in China right now, and it is not covered at all.
No.
So guess what? When that bad stuff happens that we find, it really makes us feel disturbed when we see that kind of stuff happening in New York City, San Francisco, whatever.
Sure.
But when we see that kind of stuff happen, people are reprimanded immediately, and they're pretty much ostracized by everyone.
Correct.
Whereas this is the polar opposite. That's why you can't make that comparison.
Yeah.
No one is condemning this. No one is condemning this within mainland China.
Here's the thing also that people don't seem to realize is that if you are an Asian American or an Asian Australian or an Asian anything, right, and you're in the West and somebody racially abuses you or you feel uncomfortable, you can go to the police. You can call 911, or 110, whatever the hell it is.
You can call people around you.
You can ask people to help you, and people will help you. Not only that, but the perpetrator will be apprehended, and you have actual legal recourse. You can take them to court. You can sue them. They can get arrested. They can go to jail, etc., etc. But in China, what the foreigners that are still there are realizing is because a lot of foreigners, when they go to China, they still kind of have that feeling in the back of their mind that it's like back home.
Yeah.
If they get racially abused, they can just call the cops and it'll be sorted out. No, these people are calling the cops, and the police are just saying, what are you going to do? They have no recourse. And this is the huge difference here, is that people can racially abuse you and to their heart's content and call you a filthy, disgusting, disease-carrying foreigner, and there's nothing can be done about it. You can't complain to them and say, that guy is racially abusing me, because they're just going to say, whatever, he's probably right. You know? That's the thing. There's no backup, there's no legal recourse, and you're left out to dry. And it's a terrible feeling, and it's something we've both experienced
Absolutely.
in China.
You get motorcycles stolen, you go to the cops, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit.
And you can tell that they
They're
don't
like,
care. Yeah.
It's just a foreigner.
Yeah, it's just a foreigner.
Whatever. Why'd you come here?
Yeah, exactly. Don't cause too much of a stink, or we'll just make you go away anyway.
Yeah.
You know? So it's unfortunate. This one is a little bit older.
It says, "I'm not a virus, my fellow Chinese friends. I supported you 2 months ago with your campaign against racism, but I see it now on some of you." Thursday, March 19th. 10 minutes sat in the subway. Six people around me stand up and sat down in other places far away from me. Now, whatever. People standing up, moving away. It hurts. It sucks. But I see where he's coming from, because this guy was a very, very pro-China dude.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't leave.
Nope.
And he supported the campaigns against fighting.
These are the
which
guys.
is great.
These are the guys going on Twitter and like expressing massive amounts of outrage at anyone who's like saying it's the China virus or whatever. You know,
Which
these
is
are the
whatever.
guys.
That's your opinion.
Yeah, and then when it happens to them, they're gutted.
Right.
what I mean, because now they're like, hang on a second, this happens to me, but there's no one like
Right.
myself.
Do you know
out
why
there.
they're gutted and why people like us are gutted? Because we stick up for the Chinese people and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yet we get attacked all the time. And if that same thing happens to them, they immediately get riled up, especially these like really nationalists. They get riled up and they say, this is not fair to us, right? They go crazy and militant and stuff.
Yeah.
We feel gutted because we stick up for Chinese people. Then we get attacked. And then we get labeled as well. And we still stick up for them.
Yeah.
Because we're good people. That's the
Absolutely.
difference.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think before we move on to our next segment, I think it's time that we... sorry, let me get that back to here. Spoiler alert, you know what's coming. We're going to be answering some super chats, so let's get into that.
Cool. Thank you, Santi. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Yav. Thank you for the amazing job. When can we expect Vivi and Sasha on the podcast? Maybe they'll pop in one day.
Yeah, we'll get them on here eventually. We try to keep them out the spotlight because unfortunately our critics are so savage that they will attack your family and go the lowest of the low, and so rather not involve them.
We can handle it, but
they may be our wives, but it's not like they're there giving us material on what to do. That's not their job. They're not a part of this. We do this independently.
Wade Rudder, thank you. Yajini, temporary extend OPT unemployment grace period 180 days for international students. Make it fair to everyone.
Okay,
Sure.
What is OPT?
I'm not sure.
Overtime, pretend, temporary. No. Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea though.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Johnson, this goes in the silver bullets fund when off diet.
Yeah.
Who get this idea that we drink Coors?
I love Coors.
You're lying. You never drink it. We barely drink it.
Well, I mean, when I get the opportunity to choose between like the domestic beers that are just like normal, I'll drink Coors.
Okay, fair enough.
It's good. Silver bullets.
I still super appreciate you guys from the very beginning of this. I hope there's a day when we can watch your regular adventures and super far off. We agree.
Yes. In fact,
nuts.
ADVChina on Monday, you'll see another one of our usual
bikes.
motorcycle, and this week Monday we did it as well.
Yes.
We had a Taiwan video. I hope you enjoyed
We
it.
did.
Yeah.
Satchmo Dog. Social media posts show Winnie's PR campaign has worked on a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
Even comments to Reason magazine claim Chinese response to the Wuhan flu is superior to ours. Keep shedding light, boys.
Yeah.
That's the scary thing, and that's what makes our job so difficult.
Yes.
It's
worked. It works so well because China knows how to play the victim, and they know how to twist people's minds. They know how to take advantage of the current situation in the West. And trust me on this, they don't have it under control. Okay? No. And even if there's a massive outbreak, they're not going to let people know about it unless they just simply cannot hold it down.
Why do you think the journalists got kicked out?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you think they're being so brutal to foreigners right now?
Exactly.
Yes.
It's not the safe haven that people think it is.
You're deluded if you think that.
The problem about that is that the people that are falling for this and who are like in going back to China thinking this is the safest place, I want to be in China, you're actually letting your guard down and potentially exposing yourself to a bad situation.
Quarantine is quarantine no matter where you are. Don't make that trip.
Yeah.
Right?
First of all, that's going to probably infect you anyway, being on a plane with a bunch of other people. But we're seeing massive numbers. America's overtaken China, as the number one, of course.
Yeah, we sure did.
Woohoo! But the fact that people see these numbers and it scares them is what's keeping them indoors. It's what's keeping people from doing stupid things. It's now forcing people to understand that the massive amount of responsibility each and every one of us have.
So the Chinese government's claiming that, I think people want to hear this, Chinese government is claiming that there's no cases in China, which we know is not true. No. But... what's funny about that is that it made everyone go out and feel like everything was A-okay. And guess what? They still promoted this idea that there's no new cases. Yeah, everything's on lockdown again.
Yeah, it's just been on lockdown again in Hebei, right?
Yep. And,
Hebei, they shut down a 600,000 person city.
Mm-hmm. And a bunch of they opened up movie theaters and all this shopping malls.
They're all shut down again. Why would they shut it down if there were no new cases? Of course there are new cases. It's nonsense. And then they blame all the new cases on dirty foreigners bringing them in. That's why they've blocked entry to any foreigner.
Yeah.
So
they kind of threw away their wild card excuse.
Yeah, the problem is, though, that if we get further outbreaks now, they won't be able to blame foreigners anymore. At least, let's say, 14 days after the 28th.
They're going to have to do some... because they've already done crazy mental gymnastics up until this point.
Yeah.
Based on origins and numbers and all this kind of stuff. Let's see what their next thing is. It's going to be interesting.
Absolutely.
Big Tech says, I got your stimulus check right here. Thanks. Thank you. Mustang 6975. It is, of course... be responsible, but I don't think there should be an international shutdown of the global economy. If you look at it numerically, it's much less threatening than the flu.
It's not true. You see, this is a stupid thing that's been going
I
around.
appreciate the super chat, though.
The way that the flu is reported, they use statistical numbers. It's also, if someone dies due to complications of the flu, you get this massive number, and everyone's like, it's so deadly. But it's reported differently, and it's dealt with differently to this particular disease. You know, this is a much more deadly disease. It actually ends up killing a much higher percentage of people that are infected. But worse, it actually chokes the hospital system, because when people get affected by this, it's pneumonia.
Yeah.
Your lungs
respirator.
fill with fluid. You need respirators. You need to be in a hospital bed with medical staff looking after you. Not like the flu. Most people just, eat chicken soup and sit at home and watch Netflix until they get better. And if it gets really bad, that's when they go to the hospital. But it's a very small percentage where it gets really bad that they go to the hospital in comparison to this.
It's like 0.2% or something.
Yeah. This is a
much
different
worse
thing. Okay? It's like saying, yes, I don't know, this mosquito is bothering me, but it's not as bad as a malaria mosquito. It's a different thing. Okay, if you get bitten enough by a normal mosquito, you can probably get an allergic reaction and die. But if you have a malaria mosquito bite you, you got malaria. It's a completely different story. Stupid analogy,
Correct.
I know, but whatever.
No, I understand what you're saying.
It's
but if you want to
same.
play this numbers game, this numerical thing, I mean, that's wrong, period. If you look at numbers, it's very clearly more deadly. The problem is, when you get over the flu, you get over the flu.
Yeah.
Maybe get it next year, whatever, right? When you get coronavirus, even if you're young and healthy, a lot of people end up with permanent lung damage.
Yeah.
Permanent lung damage. So do you think that's fun? Is that fun that you're permanently handicapped for the rest of your life?
But it's not just that. It's just there's a lot of misunderstanding surrounding... First of all, the R0 is much higher. It's much easier to infect a lot of people than with the flu. We have a vaccine for the flu. It's also something that we're familiar with.
Right.
The devil you know.
Right.
We actually know how to deal with the flu, and we have for like hundreds of years. It's something that's part of humanity. This is something new. It's different.
Scary.
We still don't even know the extent of the side effects and things like that for this. So we cannot say the flu is worse. No. That's already been debunked.
That's very old news.
Yeah.
Carport Carl, thank you. Itchy
But
Candy.
thank you anyway.
Yeah,
for
thank
your,
you anyway.
Yeah.
Loved your work for years. Can't wait for the sick to be done, and can't wait to see you making Conquering American documentaries.
Us too. Thank you.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah.
Rivhan, is there any good Chinese language media that I can share with my Chinese relatives in Australia?
Look for anything coming out of Taiwan. It's usually very biased, and it's not incredibly balanced, but at least you can get the truth that's not just the CCP's narrative,
Look up a movie called Farewell. I watched it. It was in mainland China. It was quite good.
Mainland Chinese movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually American.
Okay.
But, I mean, it took place in China.
Okay.
David Rossiter, do you think countries will ask for reparations from the CCP later? I absolutely think so, for sure.
I hope so. I think it's absolutely necessary, because let's be honest, if it was just an honest mistake, oh, you know what, this disease rose here, sorry, we tried our best to fight it, and it got out of control and it spread around the world. That's a little different to, let's make sure nobody knows about this for 2 months or 3 months. Let's arrest doctors who try to talk about it. Let's destroy samples that prove that it's a real thing. They are
then let's
responsible.
blame you.
They're responsible.
Let's blame you.
This nonsense that people think that it's just another thing. No, they are responsible for it. For it escaping and getting... because if they took care of it and took responsibility in the beginning, it would be completely different.
And because the Western world and other countries took official numbers to heart, and the WHO, who is Satan, by the way.
Oh, they're complicit to this 100%.
There's going to be so much stuff coming out about that, for sure.
Yeah.
Because the West and other countries used that as the kind of severity barometer, to make their future decisions, and then realize how bad it actually was when it hit their shores.
Yeah.
Now we're dealing with that. So you don't get to claim that you claim victory over this and you're the hero of this. You killed people.
I'm going to do an analogy thing here again. I mean, if you've got your doctor and you trust your doctor, and this is the WHO here. And you feel like a little bit of a lump. You go to your doctor, you're like, look, I got this lump. It's making me very uncomfortable. The doctor says, don't worry about it. It's nothing to worry about. Just everything's fine.
Right.
And you just ignore it, and you keep ignoring it, and it grows and it grows. And eventually it becomes this massive tumor. And you finally go to the doctor, and he's like, Oh yeah, no, that's actually like stage 10 cancer. You're gonna die, and you know what? You shouldn't have left it for so long. That's what the WHO's done.
That's what it is.
You know,
That's good.
Everyone listened to the WHO and their bullshit pandering to the CCP and believed that this wasn't serious.
Right.
And they bought into this whole, we can't be racist.
Can't close borders.
We can't call it a Chinese virus. It's
right. It's not a pandemic.
No.
It's not human transmissible.
Oh, and they're like, no, we got to carry on doing trade and travel, and we
don't
shouldn't
do this to China.
Yeah,
they're the victims. They're dealing with it,
and they deal with it better than anyone else. And now, can you see the statements that are coming out of the WHO? They're like, you know, you're taking too long to respond. The West didn't respond in a timely manner.
Look at how you
it's your
fumbled
fault.
this.
Yeah,
you know?
It's like, come on, you know, we have to see it for what it is. And if you can't see it for what it is, you've got something wrong with your thought process, you know?
That's why the comment that said, like, a lot of people that are buying into this, are you stupid?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't want to actually think that.
Yeah.
But it's offensive that this really low-level propaganda is working.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Let's see what's next.
Beverly Weber, I watched this mass hoarding right in front of me at my pharmacy in Thailand. I was stunned. Pharmacists saved one for me, thank God. Yeah, a lot of Chinese Daigou people went to Thailand.
Of course.
It's visa free as well. So, Mustang, again, thank you. Do you guys seeing this end in the next 30 days? I lived in China for 2011, and it's sad to see the communism taking hold. Yeah, it sucks. I don't know. We're not doctors.
I don't think so. But I mean, if we want to be realistic about it, we can look at how long it took to peak in China. So first they kind of let it run rampant in Wuhan without letting anyone know for 2 months. It was spreading. We still don't know how many infections happened during those 2 months, how many deaths, etc., but a lot. Then when they finally started to record numbers, it still took until now. And now they're claiming victory.
And now they're not testing anymore, or you know what I mean? You can't look at that as
and it's still going on. The fact that they just, you know, locked down another city.
Probably look at Italy as the closest example. You know, look at the timeline.
It's going to take months. Yeah. And I'm thinking at least 3 to 6 months before it kind of peaks. It's one of those things.
I don't want to make that prediction.
Yeah, that's just my own little, like, whatever you want to call it, armchair prediction. Right. Don't take it to heart, please. But from what we're seeing, like C-Milk said, look at places like Italy and South Korea.
They had a very quick, potent outbreak, and then it started to decline. Look at that.
Yeah.
You'll probably get an idea.
And if you want to see, again, the model for how to do this, look at Taiwan. They
100%.
really, because they didn't buy into all this crap because they know China too well.
Also, they're not allowed into the WHO, so they didn't have to follow the rules.
They didn't have to follow the WHO's bullshit. And look at them. They got like 300 cases. 300. And they're tightly packed. They are so tightly packed there.
Tighter than China.
Yeah, people are bumping elbows everywhere they go, and they don't have a big infection rate. Look at Taiwan.
It's too late to look at Taiwan.
Well, I mean, if you want to know how to deal with this, you should look at Taiwan.
Right, and stay home.
Stay home. Yeah.
Li Ung, light beer money, thank you.
Thanks.
AWEX Twin. Is that like an Aphex Twin? What's it called? Reference? I love Aphex Twin. Been a fan forever. Thank you all for that you've done. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Wade Rudder, very, very generous. Really appreciate that. Because this is definitely demonetized.
Yeah. All of our videos on this channel have been demonetized.
Yeah, this is just kind of like the yellow channel. It says yellow demonetization icons everywhere. Yeah. Lazaro, when you guys travel again, go to Cuba.
Yeah, why not? Sure. Should be fun.
Jill Sandwich, keep up the good work. Q to CMilk RE latest video. Question. Have any authorities asked you to help them translate or research? You are very valuable, both of you. Not yet, but I've had a lot of people on podcasts and stuff that want to talk to me about it. We'll see if it pans out. You know, we have our own podcast.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, we'll probably be on a couple of podcasts in the near future. You might see us cropping up on a few other channels you might not expect.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very soon, eh?
Yeah.
Rally CSX, thank you. Heath Runyon. Good reporting on your video. CMilk money for beer. Thank you. Keep up the investigative reports about the bat coronavirus original in Wuhan. Thank you for really spelling that out.
Yeah.
Drive it home. Ooh, boy. I hate when this does this. I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, my gosh. You guys are great.
You know what we should do? Let's move on. Let's have an extended Q&A session at the end because I don't want us to lose track of what we're doing here.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the next thing we do, of course, everyone knows is Guanxi Corner, where we talk about relationships in China. You know, it can be romantic, it can be business, anything like that. Guanxi, of course, means connections and relationships in Chinese.
Right. This is from a patron.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say his name or anything because he didn't get back to me, but I'm going to read his question. He's got a Chinese wife. He obviously sees eye to eye with more like the Western idea of freedom and democracy.
Sure.
His wife is definitely more on the CCP leaning side. So his question is, when they don't agree with your facts, or like when you're presenting logical facts to them, how do you talk to them or respond to them without hurting their feelings?
Well, we actually discussed this the other day.
We did.
When a Chinese national goes to live overseas and gets out of the sort of China bubble, it's very difficult for them to trust anything foreigners say.
Sure.
Especially they will see any kind of criticism as China as an attack on themselves. And that's the conditioning of the education there and society.
Yeah.
It's like 我们中国,他们外国. It's like those, like foreigners and Chinese. And China has China's interest at heart, and foreigners, they don't understand China. And, if they try to criticize China, it's because they want to keep us down and stuff. So when you as a foreigner, even if it's your wife, try to criticize something or say something bad about China, their instinct will be to be defensive. Doesn't matter how much you love them, how much they love you. They are still going to...
It doesn't even matter how much they believe that.
Yeah, it's a knee-jerk reaction.
Right.
The only way for you to break this down is get a Chinese person to speak to them about this, or show them Chinese documentaries. If you want to talk about Tiananmen Square or something, find a documentary that has Chinese people, like survivors of the Tiananmen Square.
You know who's covered all the stuff that you're probably talking about better than anyone are Chinese people themselves.
Because that breaks down a certain barrier. Then it's not something like
it's like holy
Taman
shit.
Weigor. It's like they've been taught to only trust Chinese people. And so when a Chinese person is saying it, it's so much easier for them to actually open their mind and start to think about these things. This is from experience, by the way. With a lot of my Chinese friends, you cannot, as a foreigner, just go in there and start to challenge ideas. You have to let other Chinese people do it. So maybe you know some other Chinese people, some friends of yours,
some locals,
or some locals, who can just speak a little bit of sense to some of these things. And that's the only way you're really going to be able to do it.
I agree with that. Yeah, we had spoken about that previously. Yeah. We get that question a lot.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's just move on to our worldview, and then we'll do a long
questions.
Q&A. Okay, so worldview, as you know, we talk about everything in the world, specifically to do with China. And I think everyone by now has seen the following little things. So let's just play it anyway for you to see very quickly.
Will the WHO consider Taiwan's membership? Hello?
I'm sorry, I can't hear. I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
We decided to give Dr. Alward another call to follow up.
And I just want to see if you can comment a bit on how Taiwan has done so far in terms of containing the virus.
Well, we've already talked about China, and when you look across all the different areas of China, they've actually all done quite a good job. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting us to participate, and good luck as you go forward with the battle in Hong Kong.
My friends, is that not the slimiest, impotent cretin you've ever seen in your life?
Well, that's just absolute proof right there.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it's a blow by blow, right? This is not politically motivated because this is actually a Hong Kong journalist.
Yes,
right?
It's a Hong Kong journalist. Well, Hong Kong...
No, but listen.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone is talking about why Taiwan was not allowed into the WHO. Some of the best virologists, best scientists, really good track record with pandemics and stuff like this. Transparent society, you're going to be able to trust the numbers that come out of there.
Absolutely. They've got a fantastic healthcare
public healthcare, spot on, right?
They're Chinese too. I mean, ethnically Chinese, and they've got the same culture.
This is how China could have been.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, to break this down, when you even have the conversation, at least people are talking about it. Why wasn't Taiwan let in? Blah blah blah, and the WHO just won't talk about it, right? But finally, when they get them on the call, not only does he pretend like she didn't even ask the question, or he couldn't hear the question, but then acknowledges that he did hear the question.
Because he's like, that's okay, let's just, how about the next... The fact that he's like, I didn't hear your question. He's like, I'd like to ask you again. He's like, no, that's okay, let's move on to the next question.
And then he hung up.
Yeah, when she asked again, hung up.
So she calls him back,
and
then goes on to say, not only did he acknowledge the question, he heard the question.
Yeah, obviously
right?
he heard it.
Then said, oh, China's dealing with it by labeling Taiwan a part of mainland China.
He said China and what different areas of China. So, which is absolute bullshit, because the way that Taiwan has dealt with this compared to the way China has dealt with it
It's a
is
joke.
chalk and cheese.
It's insane. You can't even make the comparison.
Yeah.
The CCP bungled the entire thing.
Yeah.
Now, this is just utter proof
Yeah.
that the WHO is controlled by the CCP.
If they're not even allowed to mention the
Nope.
word Taiwan, that's one of your little clues over there.
So they have a rule book,
Yeah.
and they are dictating. What? All the tweets are about how China is doing so good. It's just one member of the WHO, guys.
Yeah.
Right? Why do they get this massive spotlight all the time?
Yeah, it's despicable. You know, if it was a responsible organization, they would say something along the lines of, "Oh, we would prefer
It's a
not to
sensitive
discuss
issue.
that.
Yeah.
It's a sensitive issue," or at least acknowledge it and say, Taiwan's been doing very good when it comes to dealing with the coronavirus. Not hang up the call, pretend they didn't hear the question, and then call Taiwan China.
I said this previously with another person.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, this call would have been better if he said, no, China doesn't allow us to talk about that. That would have been literally more moral than what just happened.
Exactly.
Oh, anyway.
Doesn't that just make your blood boil?
It's insane. We've let a communist authoritarian dictatorship control a massive world organization.
They control the UN. They
I know.
control the
It's
WHO.
insane.
And because of that, the rest of the world is now suffering.
Yeah.
Big time. People
but
are dying.
we're supposed to applaud the CCP, Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
You did a great job. We love you. That's what we're supposed to do.
Well, anyway, let's hit our big Q&A
Yes.
section, because we've got a lot of questions to answer here. And we're going to go through all of the super chats and be as thorough as we can. So,
Extreme Freedom, thank you. Abner, stay awesome. Thank you, you too. Paul Sparkman, I was wondering how you guys will think the coronavirus will affect travel in the coming years, if you think it will be on the scale of September 11th. I mean, it'll be in the back of people's minds, that's for sure.
dude, I'm pretty sure, after SARS, it changed the entire dynamic between going between Hong Kong and China.
Yeah.
They didn't have those temperature scanners
Now they
before
do.
SARS. Now they do. They didn't have medical staff at each border crossing
Right.
scanning temperature, people that are slightly higher and stuff. That happened after SARS, and it became permanent.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
So, of course, this is going to change things. I think now when you go into the airport, the TSA is not only going to pat you down, but they're going to check your temperature too.
Sure.
I think it's going to be permanent, yeah.
Paul Sparkman, I'm sorry, I just read that. Extreme Freedom again, thank you. Can you talk about that, guys? Why don't you guys work with YN India, Sky News Australia? I mean, okay, here's the deal. I'm just going to make a blanket statement here. Whenever people make and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Whenever people make suggestions that, why don't you go on Joe Rogan? Why don't you go talk on Fox News and CNN and BBC? It doesn't work like that, guys.
No.
It doesn't work like that, guys.
It's not
you can't
like you could
go
just,
on.
it's like, let's
Hey,
go
what's
knock
up?
on the door. We'd like to talk on your show. They have to approach you.
Yeah.
So if we get approached, we will.
Yes.
We're very open, that's the thing. We don't really care about what side of the spectrum anyone's on.
No,
we
we'll go on
we
anything.
we will go on anyone's podcast, anyone's TV show, anything.
As long as we're allowed to express ourselves.
As long as we can help spread information and cut through disinformation and help people at the end of the day. That's our entire goal here.
Uh-huh.
So you'll probably see us popping up all over the place if people allow it.
If they allow it. If they want to have some lowly YouTubers.
Sure.
SK. Wow. Thank you.
That's very generous.
Jeez.
Thank you.
I've tried discussing with Americans racism in China plus CCP's use of race to quash criticism. Most people perceive me as supporting Trump or not being aware of or sympathetic to racism in America. Any suggestion on approaching these topics with people who are not informed on China/CCP? And that's the biggest barrier to this whole thing.
Yeah.
Is immediately, if you criticize the communist government of China, the average person that you're talking to doesn't even understand what that means.
Yeah.
Right? So they're also... Either they've been brainwashed by the CCP into thinking China is the CCP and all Chinese people are represented by them, or they just don't even know. So if you criticize another country's government, they go, well, you can criticize your own government. You can criticize our government, America. You can't do that to another country. That mentality block goes up, and immediately the whole race card thing
This
comes
is
up.
what the CCP is taking advantage of,
Yeah.
is that they know that this whole thing, nobody in the West wants to be called a racist. And it's gotten to a point where people are so afraid of that word racism that they won't open their mouth about anything.
Right.
Other than themselves, because they know that you can be self-deprecate, or you
Yeah.
can talk about like somebody who's the same as you. You talk about anyone else, the possibility of you being labeled a racist is massive, and you could lose your job, you can be stigmatized. Like I said, the West does not tolerate racism, but unfortunately, They do tolerate racism when it comes from China.
Right.
You notice that?
Right.
It's like,
It's allowed.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You know.
So my advice, if you're talking to people that don't understand this, or they immediately put up that wall,
Yeah.
you're not. It doesn't matter if you're a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter or whatever. That has nothing to do with it. What you explain to them is give them some intricacies about the fact that the people in China are the victims of their own government.
Yes.
And humanize the whole situation so that they break down that barrier, and all of a sudden you're talking about a whole country of vulnerable people that get abused by an authoritarian dictator.
Get used as tools.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. Again, China is not Chinese people. Chinese government is not Chinese people.
No.
It's a different thing.
Why do you think we're so passionate about it? We're talking about human beings over there
Absolutely.
that are stifled.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Anyway, thank you very much. That was very generous. Generic username. I wish you the best of luck during this pandemic.
Thank you very much. And yes, finally, we can call it a pandemic because the
We're
WHO
allowed.
pulled its finger out of its ass and finally said, okay, you're
We've
allowed
been
to
saying
call
this
it a
shit
pandemic.
for months now, guys.
Yeah.
And we're not even experts. Don't be stupid. Just if you see the WHO, just turn it off.
Yeah.
Honestly, listen to your local, like, what's it called? Like your local
CDC
disease,
or-
CDC,
yeah.
disease prevention, NHS, that kind of stuff.
WHO is a toothless piece of shit organization
Yeah.
who purposefully misled the world into this disaster.
Correct.
Because they're being paid.
Right. Absolutely listen to your health professionals, though.
Yeah.
Just not that one.
Not that stupid shit organization.
Lucas Peterson. I went to school in Chengdu and I have a girlfriend there. Her family and even her dad, a doctor, believes the CCP's propaganda about the U.S. and the virus. What do you guys think? We're dealing with the same thing right now. It's hard not to even laugh at that.
Yeah, but you know, it's heartbreaking when you've
But it
got
hurts.
long-term
Yeah.
friends in China
Sending you
this
messages
shit.
like, why did you... Dude, remember that one I got the other day?
Yeah.
Our
It's
really
like-
good buddy.
Yeah.
He's like,
here's proof that it came from America and
right.
sent
And
some
I'm like,
bullshit
bro,
article.
come on. You know, at least he said, like, are you doing okay? I heard it's really bad. I'm like, yeah, we're fine. How are you doing over there? I just wanted some information.
Yeah.
And then immediately it's like all this shit. Oh, it came from this. Oh, blah, blah. And he's sending angry faces and he's all mad. So, dude, I didn't do this shit to you. We ride bikes together. You're my bro.
Yeah,
Shut up.
exactly. Shut the hell up.
Lexer Gaming. Hi, from Sweden. Almost all masks are sold out here. Yep.
Well, yeah, they were all snatched up and sent off. And the thing is, it wasn't for humanitarian reasons.
Oh, I forgot that article.
Which one?
The one in Finland.
What about
So China's giving aid to Finland.
Oh, yes.
But they're reselling the masks that were bought from there and reselling them back to Finland 10 times the price.
Of course.
And a lot of this aid that you keep saying, oh, this big PR campaigns, these hazmat guys coming out with the Chinese flag and the Chinese airplane. We brought like bazillions of dollars of aid. Most of the times, the countries that are getting the aid, they're paying
for it. It's not like
There's
a
no
gift.
free. It's not a freebie.
And also, a lot of those items that are being given are the ones that were taken away from your country in the first place.
That's correct.
You know what I mean? Come on. Tons and tons and tons, millions and millions of masks and whatever else were fleeced from the stores everywhere. Don't forget this stuff is majority is made in China. They have it there. It's made. It's produced there, right? So why is it that they couldn't produce more for themselves there rather than go to the rest of the world and clear out all the shelves?
Correct.
You know?
Correct. Hi from France. Big fan of both of you guys. Thank you. O'Connell, what do you guys think of Western news showing stories of China? Well, we just answered that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Alexis Solaris, do you have a combined Patreon for ADVChina? We do not.
No, we can't. I mean, we kind of have worthless whips, but it's not the same.
So we have I have my own Laudi 6 SerpentZA, and then we have Worthless Whips as our card channel. If you wanted to, wanted to do a combined thing, you should probably donate to Worthless Whips, I guess.
Either that, or you can just do a paypal.me.
Yeah, but
/ADVChina.
if they want the content, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's mainly car content over there.
Yeah. If you go to our channels and maybe split up what you wanted to give, then you'll see the
50 cents for him, 50 cents for me.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Midtown Mike. How can the Chinese netizens easily find and dock someone who makes China lose face, but they can't find Batwoman and Doctor and Zemo's lesbian?
It's very true.
Now, to clarify that, Midtown Mike,
yeah.
Batwoman is not missing.
No, she's...
Her Huang Yanling is her cohort, or her co-worker. I almost said cohort.
Yeah.
Her co-worker is missing. But, isn't that interesting? It's so easy to find information over here, but when there's a massive cover-up in China, you ain't finding shit.
No, you won't. No.
Tom Clements, thank you for your dedication to the truth. Keep up the good work. Best wishes from SX UK. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure, mate.
Ramiro Canales, you guys are awesome. No, you are awesome.
Thank you.
Christina Youngren, always nice to see you. You guys do excellent work. I look forward to when you can do some more fun travel and car videos again. Thank you for paying attention to that stuff too.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I believe she was the one that said that I think it was you, Christina, that said like when we came out with Worthless Web, she wasn't initially going to be interested, but she actually loved it. So that's cool.
We actually have a new episode coming out on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, yeah.
So yeah, it's
with a new
so
car.
Yeah, it's a new car. It's so tough to actually focus on doing that when we've got all this going on. So we apologize that our usual schedule's been kind of mixed up, but we're trying our best. We're working as hard as we can to kind of keep things going. And of course, we all understand it's a lot of doom and gloom right now. So we're trying to inject a little bit of something else in there.
It's tough,
when we
though.
can. Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Red Atlas, thank you. John Riel, thank you. Wow, Gringo Poppy, $500.
That's insane.
Thank you very much. You're going to float us now. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Seriously, do you hear about any companies defaulting yet in China? If so, what industries? I've heard inklings from people that had companies there, but weirdly enough, they had already pulled out, right? Like huge. I'm talking like heavy industry. I have a friend from Canada. He does timber, right? Huge. He's like covers this huge part of Dongbei, the forestry region.
Yeah.
Very wealthy man, right? He had pulled out well before coronavirus just because of the way that the companies were being treated in China anyway.
Right.
So he splintered out across different areas anyway already.
Lucky he got out in time.
Right. But I mean, of course, he's going to know before most people.
I think he might be talking about Chinese companies. And I've got a lot of my friends who run small businesses. And the small businesses have suffered a lot.
Yeah.
Because if you're a state-owned enterprise, you've got nothing to worry about, right? If you're a big thing. I mean, of course, you do in the long term. But the small businesses, the kind of mom and pop shops, the things that kind of run their own thing, they still have to pay rent. They're not getting any compensation for that. So they pay rent for whatever shop they're running if you've got a brick and mortar business, but they're not allowed to have customers, things like that. They can't produce things right now. Factories are closed. Well, at least they were until recently. And so a lot of people went out of business, small businesses. And you have to understand there's this massive amount of sort of migratory thing going on in China, like in Shenzhen where I used to live. People come from their hometown, which is usually out in the farms, and they will come and they will do a certain kind of a job. They'll go work in a restaurant. They'll be a waiter. They'll be a taxi driver. They'll be they'll have a small kind of a job, and they save a whole ton of money. At least for them, it's a lot of money. And they go back to the rural countryside, and they can live off of a year's worth of saving. They can live for about 5 to 10 years out there because it's so cheap out in the rural countryside. But so they come to the big cities. They're all there. They're stuck there. They're doing their job. They have their little business, their little shop or whatever. And then all of a sudden this hits. They can't make their money and they have to go back empty-handed basically to their hometown and go live on a pittance, you know?
I have another really good example that just broke.
Right.
This might be related to Gringo Poppy's question.
Right.
Do you know what company just got destroyed in China? Their stock, and this is a big company, just dropped 80%.
Okay.
Luckin Coffee.
Oh, Luckin Coffee.
Luckin Coffee is by far and away the biggest coffee chain in China.
It's one with the antlers.
And it's a copy, direct copy of Starbucks.
Yeah.
And it was made to basically be like, screw you, foreign company. We can make our own.
Yeah.
Do you know why their stock crashed 80%?
Why?
Because they have, for the longest time, completely been lying about their customer base to inflate their numbers to say we're the biggest company, all this kind of stuff. And finally, when push comes to shove, the money's not there anymore. Right?
That makes sense because I always, when they first came out, I tried them a couple of times, but they're always empty.
Yeah, but they're everywhere. Right?
Yeah, the little blue antler thing.
But they're the biggest.
Yeah.
Nope.
But Starbucks is always packed though.
Yeah, so it turned out to be a lie. Just like the movie tickets.
Just like the GDP. Just like the coronavirus numbers.
If you make every single... when you can't find one transparent number in China, you got to realize that everything's a lie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
So, but thank you very much for that.
And by the way, we're not just saying that to be facetious. It's demonstrably true.
It's true.
The GDP admitted by even like tons of different little counties and stuff, they admit that they've been misreporting it by up to like 28% or whatever. And this is something you can find from the Chinese news. So this is not us just being facetious. These numbers are false. Okay, anyway.
Next is Sarah JPN. Thank you.
By the way, thank you for that.
Yeah. Todd Joaquim. A few months ago, there was a news story from Seattle about Chinese buying 70,000 plus masks to send them to Wuhan. Today, the news story is about China coming to the rescue and sending masks to the U.S. and the world. And here we go. Yeah. This is what soft power is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Screw you. By the way, we're going to help you now.
So we can all be very
thankful of the CCP.
You
know what's funny is that the soft power has never even made it like a thing where we should congratulate the Chinese people.
No, it's just the government.
Now it's just, no, you need to thank the CCP.
Yeah.
They're like so selfish at this point, they don't even want the people to take any credit for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like somebody stealing something from you and then giving, like, steals a loaf of bread from you and gives you a couple crumbs back, and you got to say, "Thank you, sir. Could I have some more?"
Don't think so. Economic slavery or something.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Carlos Brown, a woman in LinkedIn, said the virus didn't originate in China and that criticism towards China is racist. I called it out. Huge backlash towards me. So many people with Chinese names started viewing my profile. Wu Mao. Oh, yes. LinkedIn is chock full of Wu Maos right now.
Yeah.
They've like infested it because they're looking for people that they could potentially get jobs with, especially intellectual property stuff.
Sure.
And number two, it's also kind of a forum for people. Then there's good discussions and narratives. They've injected tons.
They've taken over Quora as well.
Quora is done. Quora is a wasteland of Wu Maos.
Reddit is starting to fall to
pretty
this
much
as well.
go check that out. Censorship on Reddit right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the way the world goes. You know, Chinese companies are buying up, majority stakes, or at least big stakes in some of these big companies. But not only that, you've got actual people that are employed by the Chinese government to go and do this, to sow this soft power and to change people's minds.
Right.
So they go to all these different forums and these things that you normally use, and they go on there and they do all their dastardly deeds to try and change your mind.
Don't change your mind. Just be open-minded and stick to your guns.
And just be normal, rational. You know, don't believe this crap. And please, for crying out loud, stop caring if someone calls you a racist. I've been called a racist my entire life, and the amount of freedom you get when you finally let go of that burden, that responsibility is incredible, because when you deep down know that you're not a racist and people keep calling you a racist, if you let go of that responsibility and you realize that it's just a bunch of crap and it's just a coping mechanism for the other people that are calling you a racist, you don't get affected by it.
Not only that, but he's talking about getting called racist by Wu Maos.
Yeah.
If you're getting affected by that, they win.
Absolutely.
They don't care.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Anyway.
Just be true to yourself. Follow your moral compass, you know.
What's Happening? Our good friends over at What's Happening. They have a channel.
Cool.
Very interesting
stuff. They actually changed that into the name now? Yeah. That's cool.
Isn't that cool?
That was my suggestion. I remember that.
Hi, and hope you and your families are doing well. And you too.
Yeah, absolutely, guys.
Hope everything's good. Case closed. Question: why are so many people who have been to China seem so oblivious to the current issues like the CCP government? Also, will there be a fan meetup in the Orlando, Florida area? Not anytime soon.
Maybe when this is all over.
Yeah, maybe we can invite that chick.
The masked woman. Yeah, she's in Florida.
So why? So people have been to China. The problem is, if you go to China as a tourist or even have been there for a year, you don't understand. I don't want to be one of those guys, but you don't understand it.
Just imagine, and a lot of Americans can't put this into perspective, but I got a friend who visited New York City, all right? And that's all he did. He came to America and he spent 5 days in New York City. And it blew his mind. It's the most incredible country in the world. Look at all these tall buildings and all this beautiful stuff and amazing food, this and that. And he had such an incredible time that, he could only ever praise America for being this one thing. But he only went to one city, and he didn't really experience the whole thing. He didn't stay there long enough to get involved in the social things that are going on and the positives and the negatives of society and all that. And it's the same when people visit China, especially if you go to Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou. These cities will blow you away. Look at these tall skyscrapers, the technology, it's amazing. And you're only going to have a positive idea. And even if you stay for a semi-long time, a couple of months, you usually won't get the opportunity like we have to explore China and get out of those big cities and go to the farms and go to the rural areas. So you will have
talk to people. My thing is, your friend speaks English.
Yes.
So he gets a little slice of America by going to New York, and he made a good comparison. Imagine, pair that with the fact you don't speak Chinese. What are you going to understand?
That's also true. So if my friend could only speak Afrikaans and not English, and he went to America and he couldn't speak to anyone there, except for a few people that could speak his language and who cater to helping people like him, of course, you're going to have a very narrow view of what the place is like. And that's why people can't really understand what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
New York's it's a very impressive city, by the way. I loved going there.
I love it.
It was,
Thank you, MSG. Thank you, Nicholas Gao. Nicholas Noonan. I wanted to work in China in the journalism and international relations field. However, I'm finding it increasingly hard to justify pursuing a future in China, do a master's in China, or abandon China. Why would you go be a journalist in China right now? Wow. But I understand if that was something you were traditionally pursuing, it's got to be heartbreaking.
I mean, there's another thing here. I think a lot of people realize that because China is so lacking in the journalism point, that it's kind of like an untapped field, or it's an untapped thing to do. So you could go there and make a name for yourself, and it's true. even now, people of very little significance can rise all the way to the top in China because it's so untapped. But with it come incredible risks.
You're going to throw away all of your principles you've learned in free press.
I mean, you're going to be depressed about that, but at the same time, you put yourself at incredible risk.
Yeah.
Because if you do happen to put out the wrong kind of article or say the wrong thing, it can actually mean detention, deportation.
Yeah.
And what's the point? You've worked your whole life to go to a place that's going to deport you and not let you back.
Right, exactly.
So I would say no. I'd say maybe if you want to be a journalist, you can cover China from afar.
Yes, that's the only way you'll do it, honestly, anyway.
Yeah, and if you visit as a tourist and take a look around and then go back and write stories,
Loopy Alchemist, given your coverage of coronavirus, do you think that you could ever safely return to mainland China? Not in the current political climate, no way. No. Maybe if something changes.
We would love to see China change for the better, and if it does, we'd absolutely return. But right now, it'd be just completely foolish.
No.
Yeah.
When there's political change, we will be the first people back.
Absolutely.
Johan Bernath. Everyone who uses the word racist to oppose the debate when facts not his or her side mocks every people fallen victim for real racism.
Absolutely. This is something that...
Slap in the face to actual victims.
I get so angry about this because I grew up surrounded by actual real racism that results in actual people being murdered and terribly brutalized and things. I've seen certain things with my own eyes that I would never wish on anyone else. And so when people bring out this, casually throw around the word racism, it makes me angry, They don't understand what they're talking about. They just happen to go and study some bullshit college degree that taught them about bad things that happened in the past and they think they're an expert, You got to live it and understand it before you can actually start using it.
Correct. Flank Cobra. Hey guys, I started to notice that the CCP are starting to influence politicians and people in my country. That's in Europe.
Yeah.
Can I order professional translation of voiceover on your videos and share it to increase awareness to inform what we're dealing with? I'd say okay.
Absolutely.
The
Go
more,
ahead.
The more
Go
the
ahead.
better.
Yeah. We're not greedy.
No. Miao Nian. Are Japanese, Korean, Southeast Asians being treated especially harshly in China, or are they being treated slightly better than non-Asian foreigners? Should give a Roman numeral to the coronavirus. How's COVID? 11. I get it. 11.
Yeah.
Xi Jinping. They are absolutely being discriminated against. The thing is, my Korean friend said, it's much easier to blend in until he starts to speak.
Yeah.
But then he's treated exactly like every other foreigner.
Sure.
Well, get out of here, you foreigner.
Yeah.
Doc Moy, thank you. Miss Soy Sauce. Oh, by the way, my parents-in-law think Japan is getting ravaged. Their state media is saying Japan's dead.
Our parents-in-law had a choice to fly back to China, but because there was a connecting flight in Japan, they refused.
Yeah.
They thought that if they were to stop in Japan, that they would 100% get infected.
Because People's Daily newspaper in China says Japan's everyone's dying.
Yeah, I mean, they big it up as if Japan's now one of the new epicenters. America, Japan, Italy, all this.
So now they just want to run straight back to China.
Yeah.
It's so selfish, that government, dude. Yeah. Miss Soy Sauce, thank you for all your hard work. Thank you. Tomato Gal, keep up the good reporting. Keep on opening eyes around the world, as we will.
Absolutely.
Jan, you are amazing. Thank you. No, you are. Demo Boy 125, the PRC is showing increasing signs of turning into a communist socialist state to a fascist state by the way things are going on in the country. It pretty much already is, my friend.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Show me the social programs. Show me the communes.
Yeah, the thing is, it's because people don't know it well enough, and they're only starting to see how China operates now.
Yeah.
Because now that the curtain's kind of been pulled back a little bit, people are like, hang on a second, that's not what I was expecting.
Yeah. Just because eyes are on it now, right?
Yeah.
And it is getting worse.
Totally.
Burned Lucas, thank you so much. Very generous. Stay awesome. You too. Jonathan, I'm back in the UK. Any idea how to get the rest of money out of China? Ooh, that's going to be a tough.
Super tough. They've limited people to ATM withdrawals to something like, 10,000 RMB a year? Because I had a friend who, I think I've said this before, but saved up a lot of money in China. Now, it's very difficult as a foreigner to get money out of China. It's super difficult.
We know.
You can go to the bank and want to do a bank transfer, and they're going to be like, nope.
No, there's a shortage of this. No, I can't do this. There's
a
limit.
You can't. And show us all of your tax returns. Right. Show us all of your this. Show us all of your that.
My employer didn't give me that.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. As a foreigner, it's super tough to get money transferred out. So what people used to do is they would go back to their home country, take their ATM card, and just withdraw their daily limit, which is 3,000 RMB or something a day or a week or something. And that's how they would get money out. But you can't do that anymore because they cap you at 10,000 RMB a year, and then they freeze your account, and you have to go back into the bank. So I've had a lot of friends who saved a lot of money, went back home, started to take their money out, and then they couldn't anymore.
I have had very recent success stories from people because a lot of people have left now.
Yeah.
Using crypto.
Yeah.
Using crypto. It's risky, obviously.
Super risky. Do you see how much it dropped?
Yes, but listen.
Yeah.
If you do it fast,
yeah,
it's better than leaving all your money in China, right?
You can actually do it while you're still there.
Yeah, while you're still there, and make sure it worked. Make sure it's it's safe and stuff. But even if something goes wrong and you lose a lot of it, it's better than not having any of it.
Yeah, not
you know
having
what I
any
mean?
of it. Yeah,
a lot of people
cryptocurrency,
have been doing that, Bitcoin and stuff, Bitcoin
Yeah.
Cash. And, flowers for Wonder Girl. My sis was given one of those fake masks at the hospital here in Oklahoma for work. She knew better and brings her own. Your info is valuable. Thank you.
Excellent. Those shit ones.
Dude, they never got back to me.
Oh, really?
No.
I can't believe they're even selling those
It's
things.
unbelievable. I haven't heard too much about that, but it's proven that that's still happening.
Right.
Funbot, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Rifabla. Add oil. Stay safe. Add oil means
Jayo.
Like go.
Yeah.
What do you think about the work of China Uncensored? We appreciate a lot of what he does.
Yeah.
I would say it's a good channel.
The thing is that I always kind of had a bit of a, while I was living in China, people would quite often kind of try to compare me to China Uncensored. And that always used to irk me because China Uncensored has always been very critical of the Chinese government. And you know that when you're in China, to be critical of the Chinese government is almost an immediate deportation order.
Yeah, of course.
So, when people start to compare you to that, you kind of get a little defensive because you're like, listen, I can't be associated.
No.
Now that I'm out of China, I've got to say that the majority of what they say is absolutely accurate. And so I watch them on a regular basis.
They're nice guys.
Yeah, they are really nice guys. I actually know, we know
them personally.
We know them personally, yeah.
You might see a little collab one day.
Yeah, might have.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, like next week.
Or unlucky, depending on your perspective.
Yeah.
Greenante. My Chinese girlfriend has stopped talking to me in the last few days with no reason given. I think it's connected. Connected to what?
Connected to this whole situation.
Oh.
I mean, it makes sense. It's tough, man. The rules of engagement when it comes to dating and relationships in China is very different.
Yes.
And especially if you're used to a kind of lovey-dovey relationship type thing, you're going to get heartbroken very quickly in China because Chinese women are very pragmatic and they know exactly what they want. And
a lot of them,
it's not about the feels. It's not about the lovey-dovey stuff. It's not about, your feelings and stuff. It's just kind of about...
It's a different culture.
Yeah. You're going to get your heart broken, and it's very possible that you are right.
Yeah. Or
Cool.
maybe it'll be fine. You guys will love each other.
Yeah.
Bark Spaniel. Chinese propaganda seems to grab the international narrative, but how is the PRC able to cover up the extent of the virus among their own population? WHO especially, WHO must have seen the outbreak firsthand. Hush money. So we've now seen, so right now they're actually giving 3,000 RMB to families of the affected to say nothing happened, nobody died. Why would you do that unless there was something to cover up, right?
Sure.
Number two, the entire media system in China is completely locked down.
Yeah, you saw what happened when some citizen journalists, kind of like us, right, went out to try and film the hospitals and stuff. They got detained by the police. They're disappeared now. Nobody knows where they are.
They weren't even going in there to say, we hate the government.
Yeah.
They were going to say, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Done.
I mean, look,
Erased.
you have to understand just how deep it goes. If you are caught sharing any kind of information that puts China in a bad light, not only will you be in trouble with the government, but society as a whole.
Yeah.
Just like with that woman who's getting attacked by the Wu Mao. They're like, you are messing with the narrative. You are making China look bad. If you're telling those foreigners that we have more infections, you're actually making us all look bad. Shut the hell up. So there's peer pressure, there's community pressure, there's government pressure, there's police pressure. At the end of the day, as a Chinese citizen, you're better off just shutting the hell up and carrying on with things.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
It totally sucks. It's we want to change that, if we can ever. It's like a lifelong goal, really.
Yeah. David M., how do you maintain your perspective after watching so many negative videos? Must be numbing, infuriating, or both. Thanks for all your input. And it is. And it sucks. And it drags us down. But at the end of the day, if this many people are looking to us for the truth, at least from our perspective, from what we truly actually morally believe in, then it's worth it. It's all worth it.
And also the good Chinese people that we know. Which, to be honest, there's this... It's hard to tell who's the majority and who's the minority sometimes when it comes
when they come back and hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
Don't forget, we have Chinese family, Chinese wives. These people in our lives they give us perspective and they keep us grounded because...
and we know China would be a better country if it was opened up.
Absolutely.
We saw it like that a little bit.
Exactly. And you have to just keep preventing like hate from taking over, and skewing your vision on things. You have to keep down the middle, and you have to see things for what they are. And thankfully, the good Chinese people that we know and who are part of our lives just kind of keep it that way.
Yes. Dion, how do you feel about Jiao turning into a Chinese shrill? I don't think he's a good buddy of ours.
Yeah, I think he's a reasonable man, and you also have to understand he's in a tough position because he's in China right now, and unfortunately, you can't. When you're in China, you cannot go against the government, and you kind of only can speak positive, and so you can only big them up because it's a defense mechanism. It's kind of like when you're in Hitler's Germany, you have to go around, saying that the Nazi party is good. You can't,
no matter what.
Yeah, you can't be like, hey, listen, I'm Jewish and I'm secretly running the resistance. You can't go and say that in public. You get shot.
There's a difference between being a shill and being guarded.
Yeah, you have to be guarded, and it really is just a survival mechanism, and that's why when we were in China, you will scarcely find any video that's critical of the government.
You won't,
if any.
Han W. We know Han W. He's been around for ages. Hi guys, old fan here. Thanks for making this video. As a mainland Chinese, you guys are part of the reason of me waking up. You know what I mean, and we certainly do, and this is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly.
So much.
This is the kind of person that I'm talking about. There's so many rational people who are on the level.
They can't say anything.
And again, they're the victims of this. They're the most.
Right.
Because
of course.
We can talk about this and we get attacked on all sides, but if someone like that tries, like an actual mainland Chinese person living abroad or anything, tries to talk about this, they're at such greater risk because the government still has a grasp of their family and them from afar.
Absolutely.
So any mainland Chinese person who gets up and talks against the Chinese government is a lot braver and has a lot more courage than any of us.
Any of us. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Terrell Hamilton, just want to thank you guys for giving me the heads up on what's going on. I got some masks for my family before the stores were sucked dry. Thanks for the updated info and being closer to the news than the actual news. And we found this every time we say something, and I appreciate that, by the way. Every time we say something, the news picks it up like 3 weeks later, and they should probably catch up.
I actually looked, Dr. Li Wenliang, I released the video about him on the 31st of January, and the first news article I could find in the mainstream media talking about him was like 4th of February or something.
You know the banquet I covered?
Yeah.
The huge mass banquet that broke the whole frickin' COVID-19 thing out?
Yeah.
I was the first person to cover that as well.
Yeah.
Look at what we've done.
No, it's just because, honestly, my wife said being a doctor and having her doctor friends and stuff, that's why I heard about it so quickly.
It's the connections.
It's the connections we have in China. And the rest of the world takes time for them to catch up because there's a language barrier, there's a cultural barrier, and the little news writer in CNN is not going to talk about something for various reasons, and they also have to do their journalistic integrity and check everything out. Well, they don't really do that these days, they just splash it out there. But they also don't understand how China works, so it's difficult for them to really make sense of what's going on, Anyway, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Chris Black, as a Chinese, I feel extremely sorry for the behaviors of my countries. Hope you guys all stay safe and beat the virus as soon as possible. I hope the CCP will pay for causing this disaster eventually. Chris, don't say that.
Yeah, you are not responsible for the actions of your country or your government.
你不代表你的政府.
Exactly.
共产党不是你. It's not 你的错, and it's not your fault, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to say things like that.
I know South Africa was a shit country in the past. It's still a shit country now, let's be honest. I don't take it on personally. It's not me. I didn't do what they did. It's not, you're an individual and you have to understand that we judge people based on their own personal character. And you've just shown that you have real character and you do not have to apologize 1 ounce to us.
No way, but thank you so much.
And stay awesome.
Charlie Harris. Can't wait to see you on Timcast IRL. Have you guys picked a date yet? Keep up the great work and don't let the Wuhan flu get to you. I'm in touch with his manager, and they're setting things up for Skype. They only do real-life interviews.
Yeah, they can't right now.
Yeah. So they're setting up things for Skype in the future. So I'm still in touch. Hopefully we'll get on there soon.
We'll get on there, yeah.
Lalo. Thank you. Dwayne Gomez. Keep up the good work, lads. Thank you. Christian. Take good care of your families, please. Stay safe, and thank you both, my friends, for what you're doing. Greetings from Iceland. We'd love to go to Iceland someday. It's gorgeous.
I can't wait.
China number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the...
yeah.
I mean... Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Clueless Gamer, the Wumao are poisoning your live chat. I do have mods in there, and I apologize for that.
Yeah, of course they will. We're their number 1 enemy.
Yeah. Wumao.
Don't you think it's fascinating that we actually have government-paid a government-paid organization
It
trying
is.
to take us down.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
Like sending out like mass amounts of people just to write shit in our comments.
And on top of that, they've got, their stooges as well, forming little groups against us. It obviously is, the more opposition we get to what we say, the more you can tell that we're talking the truth.
Yeah, of course. Why would you be so militant? You can see this in the way CCP deals with everything.
Yeah.
The more they crack down on something, the more guilty they are of that thing.
Yeah, correct.
Sorry, JPN. China, no more COVID-19 cases. Everyone, Taiwan and Hong Kong are still reporting cases. Does that not mean they're not part of China? China, angry boomer face.
Yes,
Very
that's
true.
actually true.
I like
Yeah,
that.
it's actually true.
Sam Davey, love y'all. Love you too. Neo Urwacher. Japan's Deputy Prime Minister recently called the WHO the Chinese Health Organization. Guess he was right then. Certainly was.
100%.
Props.
100% correct.
Props.
Finally, the world is waking up.
Get some balls, guys.
Yeah. Wake
World
up,
leaders.
Smell the coffee.
Yeah, seriously. Don't smell the... I won't get it. Lens. Sheeple. Okay? That's like people.
Yeah, people, but sheeple.
That's
but
not
with
fair
a-
to the people,
But with
though.
a she.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
get
fair
it.
to the people.
No, it's not fair to the people, but it's fair to the Chinese government. They're
Yeah.
sheeple.
Tuini Tahitian Faya. Have you seen Simone Xiaomingao? She's a mainland Chinese who has her own YouTube news channel, denounced CCP. Pretty good stuff. Check it out.
We haven't. I don't.
Someone
have we?
sent. I haven't. Someone sent it to me in an email tip, but I haven't watched it yet.
Okay.
We'll definitely check it out.
Absolutely.
Magic Man. CCP looks like social justice warrior in its government forum. Would you agree? In a way, yes, but they only use
No.
those tactics.
No, the CCP is like the most
the
militant.
anti.
It's the most militant skinhead who pretends to be an SJW.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was going to
And
say.
so goes around talking about flowers and people's feelings and
Mm.
whatever, but in the meantime is beating people to death when
right,
you're not
in
looking.
alleyways.
Yeah.
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 That's good. I like that. Lee Richards. I don't like that. I
No,
like that
sure.
analogy.
Yeah, yeah.
Lee Richards, thank you. G Slim, thank you for making me aware of the dangers of this pandemic back in January. Love to hear it. If our government had listened to you two instead of their experts, they would have closed our borders much earlier. Unfortunately, the world deals in experts, and that's a good thing in a lot of ways. But
Not when the experts are in the pocket of the CCP.
yeah, the most evil organization in the world.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
David Ian, thank you for telling the truth and keeping us informed. Our pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Noel Ebert, I shared this video of the origin of coronas to so many places on Facebook. So many people sharing conspiracy vids. It sucks, not yours. Thank you very much. Stone Martini. Oh my gosh.
There it is.
I came for the bikes. I stayed for the straight up, ahead of the curve info and commentary. You guys rock. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
And the bikes
Awesome.
are, as is always, Monday on ADVChina.
Nice. Trumple Stiltskin, our good buddy. Won't
Yep.
say your name.
Yep.
Your stimulus check is in the digital mail. G13 RS. Well done, guys. What's your opinion on a person that we don't talk about? Do you know why? And I'll address this very clearly. We don't talk about people that attack individuals. There's no reason to do it. And when you open that dialogue with somebody that doesn't want to listen and they just want to throw stones, then you're getting nowhere.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
getting nowhere.
You know, if we were to address every guy who comes along who tries to assassinate our character, makes hate websites against us, makes
Brings up our
personal
children and
attacks,
families
yeah.
and-
We'd get nowhere. We wouldn't be able to do our jobs because all we'd be doing is like responding to this crap.
That's
So,
not what we signed up for.
again, like I said earlier about dropping when people call you racist and you just drop it because it doesn't pertain to you. It's the same with these guys. A person could try to besmirch your character all they want. They can say the most wild, outlandish things about you. And if you take it to heart or you try to defend yourself, you just first of all, you look weak and defensive. And second of all, it doesn't really help the situation because it just gives them ammo to go after you even
responding
more.
to a prick.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
No, if someone calls you names, just say, whatever, douche.
Douche.
Shut up.
Ultimate Mike, everyone go to change.org and get corrupt at WHO.
Yes,
I
that's-
totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So I've already signed it.
Yeah, I signed it too, and I shared it a while ago on my Instagram.
Yeah.
It's already, last time I checked, close to 600,000 signatures.
Down with Chinese collusion in the WHO.
Yes.
Reorganize.
Get
Get
rid
the
of
corrupt
Tedros,
bastards out of
yeah.
there. And the other guys, too.
Yeah, yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, probably all of them right
Get
now.
a frickin' UN investigation team in there.
They should be tried for like
At the Hague.
war crimes at the Hague.
No joke. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, they should.
Noel Ebert, I'm just wondering, C-Milk's video goes directly against the WHO. Virologist interview on mainstream media stated COVID is not from bats. Thoughts? I just invite everyone to go check out my video and make your own conclusion. I think it's very clear.
It's all very...
very clear.
Yeah, it's open and public. You can search that stuff yourself on the Chinese media. And if you don't have the ability to read Chinese, use Google Translate.
That's all you need to do. I listed all the links.
Yeah.
Jonathan Prowlix, we barely hear anything negative about the wrongdoings of CCP here in Canada. Keep what you're doing and the regular media is scared of doing. Well, definitely look more into Canada. You always focus on Australia and the US.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, guys. When you hear in America, all you hear is negative things about the government. Do you think I can't even turn the TV on or look at Twitter or anything without a billion people saying Trump said this and these guys suck and they don't know how to do the blah, 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 attacking the government that's currently in position. Yet, we don't see anything where people are attacking this authoritarian dictatorship of the CCP. Why is that? It's because they don't allow it. All right? So you got to think to yourself, would I rather be in a society where I can criticize the people I don't like in government and get away with it and actually push change? Or do I want to be in a place where I can only ever say positive things? You know, that's basically what it all boils down to.
Absolutely. Exactly. Zachary C., stay awesome.
You too, mate.
How long do you think banning foreigners will affect China long term? Do they no longer care about foreign investment? What's their game plan? It's impossible to tell, but I do think this is a symptom of something much worse, much more insipid and sinister. If they're testing the waters with this kind of stuff,
it's testing the water. I also think it's a situation where they realized they kind of had to do this because they've been ramping up this whole idea.
Sure.
They had to shift the blame to foreigners.
Right.
And so it got to a point where they're like, well, we're blaming the foreigners, but we're still letting them in. Maybe we have to look strong to our populace and actually just put our foot down and block them from coming in. Even though, admittedly by themselves, 90% of the cases of returning COVID Wuhan 19 infections are Chinese citizens, Chinese passport holders. So that little 10% of whatever's coming back that are foreigners is just a little drop in the ocean. But
they carry the burden.
Yeah. So instead of saying we're just going to block anyone returning, it's like, no, we're going to block foreigners. Because they've been pumping that rhetoric out for so long that it works in their favor to do that.
I guess the question, though, is like, I don't think there's going to be a perma ban on foreigners. That's not what I'm calling it.
No,
but I do think the flavor is going to change.
It also allows them to reset all visas. Because
Exactly.
if you had a visa, like for instance, I've got a spousal visa.
Yeah. Me too.
It's still valid. I can go into China. Well, I could have gone into China. I would not have been allowed out. But the fact of the matter is my visa's still valid. But now, because of this, it's like, nope.
It's done. It's wiped.
You are going to have to apply for a new visa.
Correct.
So when you apply for your new visa, they can say, nah, we don't like you. Get out of here. You know, so.
Len says, that was a CCP sheep on. Yeah, we know, dude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Stefan, when I see American TV using the case count from the CCP, it makes me angry. They seem to believe in the number that they're given. And I have this theory that I want to put out to every journalist or politician. When you talk about the cases in China, please start with alleged cases in China.
Yeah.
Because this whole misinformation campaigns, it means it's worked.
Yeah.
And it means that people are buying the lies. It's not fair.
No,
it's alleged. It is
alleged.
not proven.
Yeah.
So say alleged.
Absolutely.
Last one. Rock and Roxy. Shout out to all the loser CCP bots. We all know CCP are criminals. Winston and C-Milk, stay awesome. Thank you.
We really
and
appreciate
again,
that.
like China, Mumaz, if you're actually watching and listening to this, because I don't think you are, you're just typing shit.
Yeah.
But if you are, keep in mind that the more you do this, the more people are going to push back against it. It's really a bad idea. I know it's the communist way, but it makes it, you're not convincing anyone here. Not in this audience.
No, for sure.
Go put your efforts somewhere else. Go play video games or something.
Yeah,
you know?
agreed.
We'll pay you to go away.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry, there was one more. To C-Milk, love the Vapor 95 merch. Thank you. Can you recommend some Vaporwave artists? To Winston, have your opinion changed on NTD since you saw the video on Shen Yun?
The
I mean,
new,
NTD
new
does
Taiwan dynasty, whatever.
They do some okay stuff. You know?
Yeah.
Some
you know,
investigative
look,
stuff.
I've got to be completely honest with you. I just don't like things that have like an agenda behind them.
I agree with you.
You know, so when you've got like the NTD, you know that they are backed by the Falun Gong, who have a massive chip on their shoulder.
Right.
Rightly so. I'm not
Doesn't mean
saying
you can't consume some of it.
Yeah, exactly. So when I get some kind of news or some kind of a show coming out from an organization that's absolutely backed with a massive bias and a drive to put out a certain message, I always take it with a pinch of salt.
I think we all should.
It doesn't mean that they don't have some good stuff, though.
No, they've done a lot of good investigative journalism.
Yeah,
Their motivations may be misplaced,
Yeah.
or maybe not. But at the same time, you know, you have to take stuff with a pinch of salt.
Absolutely.
Vaporwave artists, Adrian Wave, St. Pepsi, Macross 86 through 99. All the basics, really. You know, I like all that stuff.
Awesome.
Matt, thank you very much. And Tora, you should be on the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro. Everyone keeps telling us we should be on stuff. I'm just waiting for that to materialize. We're going to be on some stuff.
We're going to be on some stuff, yeah.
Anyway, we went super long. Thank you to everybody for your support.
Yeah,
it's
a very, very, very good one. And I just want everyone to take away one message from this, and that is, any kind of racism and xenophobia is not okay, right? It's just stuff that we should not. It's not accepted here.
No.
But I want you to understand that right now it is being accepted and it's being pushed in mainland China against all of our foreign friends. I don't know a single person who hasn't been affected in it, even slightly. Even those people that are trying to tell me, yeah, I mean,
they still get affected.
I understand.
Blinders on.
I understand why they're doing it. What the fuck, man? You're still not allowed to go into that restaurant or into your gym,
right.
or you're being blocked from your own apartment, leaving and stuff.
It's not okay.
It's not okay.
Shut up.
Every foreigner that I know in China right now has been affected in some way.
In some way. Agreed.
So let's not accept this anymore. Let's stop swallowing this narrative of the West is bad, so racist and xenophobic against Asian people. China's so good, saving the world from this thing. Bullshit. They're the ones that attack the world with this crap, and they're the ones being racist and xenophobic openly out there to anyone who's not Chinese.
We're talking about the government.
Yeah, of course the government. But society as a whole is led by the nose by the government, and so
Without
it translates to society.
Right.
Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I know we've gone on, and until next time, you know the drill. Stay awesome, and I'm not going to cut myself.